and some of our friends that had come to the house or the unit where we were. We let them in, and they came over and they could see the beings as well. So this craft actually got there for about 5 and we were able to see these beings quite clearly. Then when I was about 23, I woke up one morning getting ready for work, and it was, the lights were off. I got dressed. I walked to the kitchen. As I reached out to turn the light switch on, I heard a rustle in the corner, noise, and this being lunged at me and grabbed me by the left arm. And I was pretty strong, and I started wrestling with her, and another to the other side of me, and then I was sort of worried then, and then the third thing comes to me, and I went down. That's all I remember. And I woke up thinking that it was a dream, and so I looked down, and I realised I had my clothes on, my shirt was on backwards. But I was about 40 years old. Spirits started coming, and I had no idea what was going on. It was just a complete disaster. And I was thinking to myself, could this get any worse? And then as I got much older, about 48, I started to see the extraterrestrials moving around my house. It was actually a bit something to the point where I was now able to see them, but I couldn't contact them. I couldn't talk to them. I knew that they were coming into the house, but I had no way to be able to sort of evidence that contact. I started to develop also as a medium quite heavily at that time, doing big trance work, and I had a group of people that would come to the house to speak with me, and they were telling me that they were seeing this extraterrestrial face over the top of mine. And so we put up some sort of small video camera, and we were able to record this face that was turning up. Someone said to them, what they were speaking through to the people. Someone said, look, if you're who you say you are, then you should be able to bring a craft. You aliens say that you fly around in craft. And I thought that was a great idea. And the extraterrestrials said, yes, we'll bring a craft. So for about 2 weeks, every time I sat, they would come and they would talk about bringing the craft. And I got to the point where I thought it wasn't going to happen. And I'd organised for a group of people to be there when the craft came because I wanted evidence. I didn't want to have to start taking pictures. I was testimony people to see it. What happened was we had about 20 people with me. We were in a big circle sitting on a property, and the steam rolled in, and all the dogs were howling on the property. There was massive property. And the craft landed, and the beings came out, and they walked around everybody. And a lot of the people that were there, it's sort of a niche of life, there was something going on where they were not able to actually, interact with the beings at all. They were able to sit down and keep their eyes closed, and other people had their eyes open. But then some of them, and myself included, I had my eyes open. The beings that came and put their hands on their shoulders, so they were walking around us. The ground was really rocky, and so you could hear anybody walking around. There was about 8 to 10 beings walking around behind us. And then after that the occurrence of the class coming, Kathleen Martin contacted me to be the healer. And so we asked the leaders, they said they would, and then 3 days later, they took Kathleen onto a craft and they healed her permanently. That was really good of them to do that.
Paul, about how many contact moments have you had with the saints?
Hundreds. Not craft landing, of course, but actual contact with them, many.
Are they doing this with other people on this planet?
I think that they are, but the problem that we've got is how complex the contact is. So a lot of the contact is buried behind screen memory. And because it's buried behind some narrative, like some person will have a dream, they can be on a craft, they think they're flying the craft. What will happen is that personally believe that they're on a craft, flying a craft, or dreaming about a craft, but that wasn't happening at all. They were given a screen narrative by the extraterrestrials. I would suggest there's a large amount of people globally that are being contacted, but they don't know because of the screen memory.
you also channel the Zetas, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. So I do public sittings. Generally 30 or 40 people will come and they'll talk to the teachers. And that's how a few of the books came about. So the scientists came and spoke to the teachers, and we wrote a book called A Primer of the Beta Race. And then the second book, about 700 pages, is called The Beta Interviews, and we give those two books away for free.
Paul's website, of course, is linked up at coasttocoastam.com. It is called thezetaconnection.com. A couple of his books include The Zeta Race Inside the Hive Mind and also a primer of the Zeta Race as well. Would you say that the Zetas are friendly, Paul?
I would suggest that the Zetas themselves are friendly, or they look very much like some grey race, but they're actually not. Although they're part of a species, of the grey species, they are not the actual greys, the ones that are accused of doing all the abduction. So the Zetas themselves have only been positive, have always been honest in their dealings with people, have done the healings. They've come when they said that they would. When they said they'd bring a craft, they did. Basically, you can only ever take somebody at their word.
Absolutely. Now, this is an amazing thing. Now, tell me about the relationship with Cyan, who we will meet shortly.
I was contacted by Cyan many years ago, and we started to talk. She was telling me that she had extraterrestrial contact. I didn't remember at all that I'd met her on craft, and we started talking, and a lot of the experiences she had, I realised that she came across and did a sitting with the Zetas, and realised that after talking to them, that they knew things about her that I didn't know. And so when they told her that she'd been on craft and what had happened to her on craft, she knew that what she experienced was real as well. Brian and I definitely are people of evidence, and any time we work with the Zetas, or we say, that the Zetas come and heal somebody or whatever, we ask for the right testimonies and, sort of to evidence that process.
Oh, what do the Zetas want with us?
I would suggest that the Zetas are looking to try to support humanity to be the best that they can possibly be. They see that on the timeline that the capacity for humans to have problems in their own development, to move past that massive blockage that we have to the race, and move into a new level of consciousness, but in the physical 3D state.
For sure.
Means that we need to have beings with us that can help us to identify what is a better type of consciousness to have, rather than the one that is very three-dimensional based in regards to conflict and problems, all these issues that are occurring on the Earth at the moment.
Well, when we Earthlings see UFOs, spot UFOs, what % of them could be Zeta craft?
That's a massive question, because a lot of the things that people see, because so imagine this: you're looking into the night sky, you're doing C5, and you're generating consciousness. The consciousness reflects back to a group of people or yourself what you want to see. You have a desire to see craft, and so often consciousness will reflect back itself. So to say, well, are these crafts from the Zetas? Yes, there are crafts. Are these crafts a construct of the human mind? They can be as well. So this is why when people see a craft, if you can see the craft by doing a calling in like C5, they should be asking the craft to come in closer, much closer, so that ultimately they can have good evidence of contact rather than just seeing flashes of light in the sky.
What do they think of us?
They think that humans as a race have massive potential to be much better than the human race. It just means that they understand that in consciousness, our abilities are so high that each of us has the potential to be so much more that they would easily, work with people. They like to spend, giving information, time giving information. That's why the information's in the books, because, and we give them away for free, because we want people to read the books and understand what is the potential of human beings to understand how to live in a relationship with the planet. And that's probably one of the most important things.
Paul, were your parents aware of this episode since you were 18 months old when these were happening? Did they know what was going on?
No. When I actually could speak to them about it, they've passed over now. When I had spoken to my parents about it, they knew something was going on, but they were too terrified to talk to me about it. I had to basically face it and go through it myself.
How old were you when you attempted to talk to them about this?
I started talking to them when I was about 40. So they would come into the house, and I would see them as a distortion, not as a full-form physical being. And in doing so, I would talk to them and say, is there anything that you'd like to talk to me about? Because obviously you always challenge your own cognitive state. Am I seeing something? Is this really happening? You sure would be challenging what's going on. And that's why when I got to the point where I was able to get them to evidence themselves by giving other people, contact or healing or even being in a craft, that's when I started to really, work towards getting a better line of communication with them. What they did was they taught me a method for contacting them, and that method's called heterodyning. And it doesn't have anything to do with TV5. And that's the method that they prefer for contact, because it has to do with like binaural beats, like using consciousness to do it.
Tell us a little bit more. How would you contact them? In a different state of mind or something? Do you go into like a trance state?
So what happens is every day you breathe. Breathing is the first thing that you do when you're born and the last thing that you do when you pass over. Internally in your breath is harmonics, and those harmonics are very, very subtle. Every time you breathe a level of harmonics. And so if you understand how to use your breath work correctly, you can create a sustained level of energy around yourself. Once you do that, we call that a sphere technique. Once you create that sphere, you can then populate it with your own consciousness and seek out contact with other beings. These heterodyne states are where you start to then interact with other beings. Now, of course, you need to evidence that, because you don't know whether a spirit person coming to you or not. Because spirits also use a similar process to heterodyning, but a lot of that contact with them is mind or mental mediumship. So I suggest that most people can learn how to do this process, but it's more about spending the time learning about your own energy, learning about how to breathe properly, learning about your harmonics, learning about how to hold your own energy, and also how to breathe correctly, and go into those very clear states of stillness that the extraterrestrials require for contact.
Why then do they still cloak and dagger and not make themselves
That's the last thing I need.
to us?
It hurts.
Yeah, that's a good question. But the whole cloak and dagger thing is to do with, I'm sure you've heard of Gary Nolan, and he did some work with what are the effects of humans when they come near craft. And what we've found is, myself included, when the Zetas came, I would often in the beginning get burnt on the side of my face. And so we have to work out, well, why is this happening? And it's to do with frequency. And so the whole reason for cloak and dagger is because if they truly came, either humans would do two things. They'd either be physically harmed by the technology that the Zetas have, or they would probably black out. But person would just go unconscious because their level of consciousness is fairly high. And when you're in their energy, their heterodyne state is so high that you as a human would have problems staying conscious. And so most times you'll notice when they do contact people, people are asleep.
That's true. Stay with us, Paul. We're
I
going
don't
to take a
think we
quick
can
break.
move
We'll
here.
talk to Cyan
And people
next,
have
and
gotten
we'll
there,
be back
but
next
all
hour
of
with phone calls right here on
really
Coast AM. So up
the big
next
thing.
is Cyan. She too is a contactee with the Zetas, and this all happened to her when she was 4 years old.
Coast Insiders, the new version of the Coast to Coast AM app is now available for iPhone and now Android 4.0 and above. Listen live or on demand, anywhere, anytime. Go to coasttocoastam.com and download it today.
Send me value, baby. No? Yeah.
I'm Bree Tennis in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Police are looking for two thieves who made off with an ATM in what is being called a smash and fall. It happened at a convenience store at the Anthem Oil gas station in Orange. Surveillance video shows two men breaking a window, tying one into the straps of a white pickup truck, the other into the ATM inside. Police say you
I
can't
thought
find
it
a
was
pride flag at City Hall in Huntington Beach. This new ban overturns the council decision from about 2 years ago that required the city to fly the flag for Pride Month. That happens from the third week of May to the end of June. A body's been found on a San Bernardino County hiking trail. Police say the victim is a man. He was found near Etiwanda Falls Trailhead. They say there were no signs of foul play. Southline weather from KFI. Sunshine on the way. Highs in the mid to upper 70s. Right now it's 51 in Seal Beach. Fullerton has 52. 56 in Glendora and 54 in Inglewood. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Bree Tennis.
In Falcon Valley, there is a full freeway closure. It's on the 405 northbound from Brookers to Warner Avenue. All lanes are going to be shut down for road work until 5. Boyle Heights, this is on the 10 eastbound after 16. Cleanup crews from an earlier crash, taking up the left lane there. Watch for some stop-and-go traffic from Alameda. In Santa Clarita, there is a work zone 5 northbound from Magic Mountain Parkway to Hasley Canyon. 2 left lanes are going to be shut down for road work until 5. KFI at the Sky Hope get you there faster. I'm Brian Dan. With the awards, big game fun, and Valentine's deals, I think that makes Morongo the go-to good times. Now your top reasons to visit Morongo.
Get a Personic Space Fever when you earn 500 points on your report card, the 13th and 14th.
Number 2,
Big Game Blowout. You can even win a grand in cash playing with your report cards during the game.
and the number 1 reason,
Big Game Blitz. The big game with amazing food and drink specials.
Morongo, good times.
Live from Radio Row, it's Super Bowl week, and there's no better way to stay up to speed than with the Around the NFL podcast. Join me, Dan Hansis, and my buds, Mark Sessler and Greg Rosenthal, for the latest football news with just a touch of mirth.
We've got the #1 football podcast in the world, and Rihanna is playing the Apple Music halftime show. It doesn't get much better than that, guys. Hang out with us live from Glendale, Arizona, all week long. Listen to Around the NFL on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast.
AT&T's DirecTV just removed Newsmax from 13 million homes. AT&T owns DirecTV, and this is the second conservative channel they removed in a year. Meanwhile, DirecTV is keeping what they call 22 liberal news channels on. So if you're angry about the censorship, Newsmax wants you to speak up. Newsmax is the 4th highest rated cable news channel. DirecTV isn't taking off the other liberal channels. Ron DeSantis says Newsmax was targeted, and it's wrong. Newsmax says AT&T and DirecTV censorship is unacceptable. If you care about censorship, seriously consider canceling your DirecTV and AT&T service. And if you're a DirecTV or an AT&T customer, call 877-NEWSMAX, and they'll connect you. You can contact your congressman to complain about censorship. Call 877-NEWSMAX. We'll connect you too. Millions are joining Newsmax today. Show your support. Call 877 Newsmax.
KFI, AM 640. More stimulating talk.
This is amazing.
I love those security questions that I'm asked, to determine that I'm me.
What was the name of your first best friend?
No friends.
What was the name of your first dog?
No dogs.
What's your favorite band?
I hate music.
Bill Handle.
I have a hard time filling those out.
You can tell.
Live 6 to 9 a.m. on KFI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Peggy Sue, baby, know why I feel you like Peggy. I Peggy Sue, I love you. I love you, Peggy Sue. Peggy Sue, Peggy Sue, pretty heart yearns for you, oh Peggy. Am I Peggy Sue? I love you, girl, and I love you, Peggy Sue. Peggy Sue, Peggy Sue, pretty Peggy Sue. Oh, Peggy. Pretty Peggy Sue. I love you, Peggy Sue.
You're listening to Coast AM with George Norrie.
We'll take your calls next hour with those contactees from the Zetas in just a moment, and when we come back in just a second, Cyan, another contactee, joins us. We'll talk with her about her situation. ParanormalDate.com. Where you sign up, 270 people to go, and we hit
If I didn't marry you,
153,000 who signed up now.
I'm very
What happens if you want to date somebody or meet somebody that's 60 plus, a bit more mature, and Valentine's Day is coming up, so check out paranormaldates.com/senior, and there you'll find people that think like you do and are 60 plus. So whatever you're looking for, paranormaldate.com.
Yo, dog, way to load the tree.
Or paranormaldate.com/seniors.
And of course, here's something for you to build up your immune system.
HealthyLooking.com and Dr. Alan Malay bring 4 decades of experience in
Healthy
natural
looking.
products for the
You look
exclusive
healthy,
stem cell wellness
but
that
you
works with your body's stem
are
cells to
fucking
assist your immune
sick as a
Here's
dog.
Dr. Malay with more.
Whether it's physical activity, obesity, diet, smoking, low on hormones,
How about West Side?
stress, sleep disorders, or your age,
West
can be supported by reducing inflammation and aiding the body to heal itself appropriately. A stem cell is a cell waiting to be told what it needs to be. If there is inflammation, that inflammation needs to be stopped. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, kidney disease, various types of cancer, depression, Alzheimer's disease, autoimmune disorders, osteoporosis, even fatty liver are signs of inflammation.
Hey, yo,
And
remember how your
can
friend
be
used to play
aided by
fatty liver?
supporting the body's ability to protect those cells that it
Did you
needs.
like it?
That is
No.
the purpose of ImmuStem and Adaptostem together, supporting the body to be
Hey,
best
fatty
as
liver.
Dr. Malay, how will I feel after taking Adaptostem and ImmuStem?
The ImmuStem is going to have an immediate effect, but I tell you, your immune system is starting to function better after 24 hours. You put Adaptostem along with it, and most will feel it within 30 minutes.
Order now at HealthyLooking.com. The Stem Cell Wellness Kit from Dr. Malay protects your body's stem cells and will make you feel better faster. The Stem Cell Wellness Kit with Adaptostem and ImmuStem and your free gift Relax Ball is only available at HealthyLooking.com or toll free at 800-563-3980. That's 800-563-3980. Don't forget to enter promo code George for free shipping. George is at HealthyLooking.com. That's HealthyLooking.com.
It is so important to have an emergency radio on hand because you just don't know when the weather or some issue is going to affect you. Sea Crane has been a leader in emergency radios for decades with the highly rated CC Solar Observer. And we all know
Hey, Solar Observer. They should be like, oh, dog, where do I get my Solar Observer?
It's a great deal. Sea Crane CC Solar Observer is an AM and FM weather radio. It can be powered by a hand crank, solar panel, or common AA batteries, and it has a built-in flashlight as well, which is cool, and the ability to charge a smartphone in a pinch if you need it. A Dependable emergency radio, superior reception, and audio is something everyone should have. And you get that with the CC Solar Observer, the perfect choice. Highly recommend. This week only, get the CC Solar Observer for only $49.99 by simply calling C. Crane at 1-800-522-8863. Remember this number,
Hey, dude.
write it down. 1-800-522-8863 or visit them at ccrane.com.
Stick the fingers in the pussy. Stick the fingers in the pussy. That way.
Did you know that you can save up to half on your wireless plan when you switch to Consumer Cellular? They offer unlimited talk and text with a flexible data plan starting at just $20 a month with the same premium coverage as the nation's largest carriers. Plus, their award-winning customer support makes switching a breeze. Go to consumercellular.com/radio25 and for a limited time, get $25 off when you use promo code radio25.
Maxwell, he was scratching.
Well, happy dog.
Find that. She said, oh, he must be allergic to chicken. Another vet that eats a grain. Third vet says it's the weather. Then somebody said,
I don't like.
The dog stopped itching. The hair stopped falling out. The diet is a big part of Maxwell's diet. How happy your dog will be.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you. We've been talking to Paul Hanlon, and now we're talking to Cyan. They are both lifelong contactees of the Zeta race and have been clearing conscious recall of their contact with the beings that they worked with. They are both deep trance mediums, also working with spirit guides to assist others. Paul, as we mentioned, his earliest was when he was 18 months old. Cyan's memory was from 4 years old, and here she is with us. Hello, Cyan. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And let me ask you, so you were 4 years old when this all started for you?
Well, that's the earliest memory I have. I mean, who knows what age, the contact actually started. But, yeah, that's my earliest memory. 4 years old. 4.5.
And you met Paul when he was a little boy.
They did a UFO, like they make it like sound like they was at Disneyland.
Yeah, the first occasion, I have to get some memory, but what I do remember is that we were just observed by the beings, just naturally playing with toys together in the same space. I think it's always a bit crazy when you look up on these events and you wonder, as a small child, why on earth you didn't find that unusual. But you're suddenly finding yourself in the middle of the night playing with somebody who shouldn't be in your house, surrounded by extraterrestrials. But I think when most contactees, as they get older, they realise that the realisation of the gravity of what's taking place is kind of shielded from our minds until we're mature enough to be able to process it. So yeah, that was the first time when we were around 4 years old, and the second time when we were around 8 years old. That was quite a long story, but it involved a screen memory, and it was given from me only to about, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And they've managed to work screen memory in of quite a normal event that had a completely false ending. It almost like a screen memory that was designed to fail.
So then, how many do you have?
And when I realised that the way this memory had ended was not the truth of the situation, I immediately realised it was a screen memory. It was just alarmingly obvious in the context I was working with and by that point. And the memory dropped, and I remember the entire experience of being on board with him. The interesting thing about those two experiences is that we were both more or less the same age on board craft, when the reality is there's a bit of an age gap between Paul and I. They said they needed that twice, and that's all got returned. can remember.
Paul said he thinks he had about 100 contactees with them. Do you recollect how many times this has happened to you?
Oh, goodness. No. Dozens and dozens of times. I wouldn't suggest it's in the hundreds for me. Definitely less than the hundreds. But I'm maybe missing a few years and never pulled for a few more years on me to correct those memories. But no, I'd suggest that my contact, although it has been fairly significant, it's not been of the same extreme level as I suggest he's had in his lifetime.
Diane, was there a point where you told your parents something very strange is happening to me?
We've had conversations about paranormal events. We've addressed spirit contact, and extraterrestrial contact has been talked about, but not in any significant way at this point.
Why do you believe they're contacting people like Paul, like you?
I think, as Paul said, that there are many individuals being contacted, far more than we'll ever realize, and have been for a very long time. As to why that's taking place, well, visitors do tell us that a large proportion of the human population are hybrid humans, which means from their perspective that the consciousness that forms human is part spirit and spirit realm, and partly from an extraterrestrial race, and by a free will agreement with the spirit people, which is absolutely necessary for that to happen. The consciousness of the extraterrestrial combines with the consciousness of the spirit person, and that forms the consciousness of the hybrid human. As to whether or not somebody realizes that that's the case for them, well, that's for somebody to work out as they go along. But I know, having worked with many contactees and experiences over the years with Paul, that there are so many people out there staring at the sky at night, feeling that they don't belong on this planet. Thoughts that can't be evidenced in any way, but they feel so strongly drawn towards. Who knows how many people out there are being contacted.
Is it conceivable that you are part of a hybrid program?
In consciousness, yes. When people talk about hybrid, I think there's a distinction to be made that doesn't always necessarily get made. People talk about biological hybrids, and then they talk about hybrids of consciousness. And visitors talk about hybrids of consciousness existing on this planet. They don't ever refer to biological hybrids being on this planet.
Have you ever been aboard a Zeta craft, Diane?
Yes, I have. And I recall it without any need to.
Everyone I know
What it was like, what it looks like?
The memories that Paul and I both share of what it was taken, the experience of last of my perspective. I was within the circular space. They had a domed roof, and I was within a the two ends, opposite ends of this space on this diameter, if you like. There were exit entry points, and every now and again, Vita beings would walk through and up to that zone, and just walk off again, obviously checking up on something or other, never interacting with myself or the other humans in this let's say glass room. These rooms or container areas, that's what it felt like at the time. They were all around the periphery of this certain space. On one occasion, I was in there with Paul, and a very tall 7-foot, easily 7-foot tall speaker came up straight up to the glass, and he put his face right up to the window, and it was very alarming, and I was probably beyond terrified at that point. Well, Paul was very obviously clearly used to being there. He simply outstretched his hand up to the being on the other side of the glass and put his hand out to me to calm me down. And that's one occasion I've seen I've been at what looks like front glass before, some sort of observation panel, like what we describe the windows up without glass, just looks like you're looking into space. And behind me, again, it's a kind of a horseshoe shape maybe, and you can see controls.
Only time you've ever been part of the 1%.
And again, these people just they pretty much seem to be minding their own business. Doing whatever they need to do.
I am a really like this fucking shit and sometimes
Never felt that way.
is there any question I don't know? When I say so, for everybody else to know. Are you done?
What do you think they think of us as people?
Yo, dog, you're just watching people get wasted on the internet. Yep. Yo, dog, are you done? Load a file.
And to reason when somebody new there, they always.
Yo, dog, remember when it was like, hey, dog, here you go.
Your experience, what it's like. I was very interested to hear from people. I don't think we've had one sitting in our
Hornets at Wizards. Wow, everybody get excited for that. Hornets at Wizards. Why? Dude, no one ever. People are always trying to like get people excited about the NBA. Yeah, LeBron James and nobody got that fucking excited about it. Really? Shut. Really?
Trying to understand them. I think in many ways they're probably
nobody's just sick of that.
Context. So it's the way humans are trying to work out the best way to across the world, every culture, every society, they generally have a different way of saying hello, some people shake hands, some people bow, some people, speak, interacting. And they're probably, I think they're very interested in learning about all the different nuances of human culture. This is
-4. Yeah, wow, one coming out of there. Yeah, you should start a light. Pardon me. I'm trying to keep this fucking show. Yo, she.
One of those occasions, there were several people that were in consciousness on board during that process, and I was on board with them. I could see exactly what's going on. And when the people came back around, if you like, to normality, they jumped up together, I've been on class, and I was able to say, yes, I was there with you, and we basically able to describe exactly what we saw, what happened, it's been very interesting. The times of outside those kind of more public events, on my own, definitely seen other people on board class. Nothing terribly going on. It's more an estimation process with the business, as far as I experienced.
Tell us about your work as an artist and what contributions the latest have made to that.
That started about 10 years ago. I'm
Know something?
professionally trained artist. It's something I've always just enjoyed doing when I have some spare time. Although of late that's increased. But
all right, baby.
I realized that.
How the fuck did we go from 1% to 33? If that were happening to me,
I found myself working
became a Mason.
in an
Like,
altered
oh, dude,
state.
it's so fucking numerologic. Now I'm a Mason. I'm like, well, it's
People and
serendipity.
and what I found was that when I was painting, I was finding
Easy to
myself in a
serendipity.
similar
I
sort
don't
of
know,
altered
man, are you
state.
cool? But I'd be
When
like, I didn't know
I
the secret's
then
not
first
secret.
met Paul again,
That's pretty cool.
person on
Yeah.
this planet,
All right, are you
we were
done?
able to look at paintings and tell me
Really?
exactly
Oh,
what I
1,000 times
experienced
more.
with the paintings as I created them. He was able to point out all sorts of intricacies about them that I had absolutely no idea about and had no idea I'd even created. And then what we began to find is that people, when they use the work, one person pointed at an exhibition I had a series of 5 paintings that I depicted there. And people would just stand in front of them and become absolutely mesmerized, to the point they were in an altered state themselves, and we began to realize that they were transferring the energy through me as I was painting or creating the images. And some of these images, they're highly constructed. I wake up, there's an image in my mind, and like a song that just won't leave your head, and how you get the song on replay. This image would just be at the forefront of my mind, in my mind's eye, until I'd drawn and painted it, however it came out. And then other times, these paintings, they just flow. They just
This is the best part. This is the best part. I know all the best parts, kids, of everything. Really, yeah.
We obviously asked them about it, and yes, that's what they've been doing.
You're right now. Do the bird, baby. Do the bird now. Honey. Put on your high heel shoes. And then we're gonna take tomatoes. We're gonna dig tomatoes. And rock up.
That information is in the primary reducer rate, if anybody wants to read about that. The scientists help put that lot together. That's still not my area. I do the art. I need the science for somebody else.
Have they taken you to the Zeta Reticuli sources?
Nothing that I'm aware of, no.
Now, when you say not that you're aware of, could they have done and you just don't know?
That's the best part.
Absolutely,
Really?
I suggest that
Oh,
yes,
for
there's
sure.
absolutely the potential for that, but I don't have any real recall of that if that has happened. I'd suggest I remember, I don't know, maybe 10% of the contact. We know that there's so much more contact that we don't remember. For whatever reason, they don't let us remember this, but they've allowed us to remember this particular content. Who knows why they do that? But yeah, no, I don't have any conscious recall of things in that.
We're going to come back in just a moment with Paul and Cyan and take initial phone calls. Paul first. Their website is called thezetaconnection.com, and that is linked up at coasttocoastam.com. Calls next on Coast to Coast.
89%.
Find out more
How you living?
log on to
Oh,
picoftheday.com.
let's see this shit.
How much do you think your home is worth this year? Do you think it's going to be worth the same next year? If you're thinking about borrowing on your home equity, your odds of getting more out of your home is probably higher now than it will be next year. I certainly believe that. Some experts predict that property values might decline over the next few years, making it more challenging for borrowers to tap into that home equity. If you need $75,000 or more, HMS Capital can help you borrow the money you need with the equity you built. So whether you want to consolidate debt, make home improvements, whatever your situation may be, HMS Capital may have the best solution to help you. No appraisal, credit report fees to apply. I've done 2 mortgages with HMS Capital. Clearly, I'm a fan. I believe they are simply the best at what they do. Call 833-250 33-255-5698. 33-255-5698. Visit hmscapital.com. They don't say hail to the cheap sale. Don't you mean hail to the cheap, Larry? No, I'm hail to the cheap. It's over 50% off the best brand. Plus, with your good credit, buy today and put interest-free for 36 months. On purchases above $3,000 with your minimum monthly payment 10% down. I'm going straight to hail, because you're killing me, Larry. Didn't think it'll beat anyone's advertised price or your mattress is free.
From 1909 to 1979, state-run hospitals in California performed thousands of sterilization procedures as part of eugenics law. After 1979, this practice continued into a state prison. If you were left unable to have biological children after surgery while living in a state-run facility or while in custody of a California prison, you may be entitled to compensation. For a confidential application, call 1-800-777-9229. Deadline to apply is September 31st, 2023.
AM 640. AM 640. We're watching everything, so you can watch your sanity.
Los Angeles, Orange County, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Higher electric bills on the way. I'm Bree Kenneth from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. SoCal Edison says they are raising their rates by 4.4%. The company says higher natural gas prices are impacting their ability to deliver power. Twitter's reporting outages and error messages. This is for Twitter's new subscribers. They say it's due to up in heritage count from 280 to 4,000. They hope to have things work out better today. Long Beach Fire Department has a brand new fire chief. Dennis Buchanan is a 29-year veteran of the Long Beach Fire Department. He's also their first black Latino chief. A restaurant in Tucson is now using robots to serve food. They still have humans, but Ice Pan Barbecue Korean Grill now has 20 robot servers that can speak 50 different languages. The owner of the restaurant says he's not replacing his workers, but know that the robots are never late and they never get tired. Vice President Kamala Harris says she will.
You getting big this weekend? I have to.
Mark Mayfield goes with that. She told CBS Morning President Biden thinks the
I have one
White House
person like
will be
this.
right alongside of this done. He also said the work they're doing is historic. The administration claims that it's not worth it, many bills passed in the last
Is that one
year.
else? Amazing.
However, they're now forced to work with a Republican-led House. I'm Mark Mayfield. The death toll from the earthquake in Turkey and Syria has surpassed 15,000. The World Health Organization is now sending in healthcare resources to prevent people from dying in the aftermath of the quake. And Wallen Hub says men will spend twice as much as women for Valentine's Day. Southline weather from KFI. Mostly sunny skies on the way. Highs in the mid to upper 70s. Right now it's 50 in COP. Santa Ana has 51. 56 for Malibu and 48 in Redlands. Weekly locals from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Bree Kenneth.
In South and South, there is a clear three-way closure, 405 north south from Brooklyn to Warner Avenue, all linked to be shut down for road work until 5. In Boyle Heights, we have 15. Earlier crash on the main eastbound after 60 has been cleared from lanes. You drive is up to full speed in that area, and it's still far. There is a work office on the
I like that one where it's like,
two left lanes are going to be shut down for road work until 6. Expect flowing throughout that area. KFI and the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Brian Van.
If you're looking to get out of your house, doesn't matter why you're moving, or maybe you've inherited a home, and now what do you do with it? Usually you go to a real estate agent, 6%, and you're told to clean and paint and repair, and buyers are going to walk through. The house has to be pristine, as if you don't live there. You don't need any of that. How about getting a fair price for your home without any of that hassle? DirectBuyers.com will do exactly that. DirectBuyers.com, a local family-owned business, Janet and Matt, brother and sister. I love the way they do business. Now, there are a lot of schmucks out there in this business. I'm going to suggest you call the DirectBuyers.com. They'll never lowball you.
Oh, here you go, kid.
Honest, no obligation offer, even a $15,000 cash advance before closing. Go to DirectBuyers.com, call 844-242-SELL, fortune tell directbuyers.com.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, our media can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else. And we can
There was a famous chocolate man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie that never else could play. He really scratch. But then his number came up and he was out on the track. And then he already know what he's doing over.
Great results.
If your business has 5 or more employees and manage to survive COVID, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. That's real money. It's not a loan either. It's a refund of your taxes. The trick is getting your phone.
He was a famous from Chicago way.
So let me
He
suggest
had a boogie that never else could play. He was out in his scratch. And then his number came up and there was number to play. In the army now. Kids and what?
They'll charge up front and share a percentage of the cash that they get from you. And businesses of all types can qualify, including those with the PPP money and nonprofits. Even if you've had increases in sales, you can qualify. To find out if your business does qualify, go to getrefunds.com.
He had a boogie that never else could play. He was the top man there. And then his number came up and he was on with the truck. He's in the army now.
That's all I got here. Just already done. What's it called? No one knows. Boogie Woogie Boogie Boy.
Still desperate for answers 30 years later. Tammy's supposed to be on campus and she's not here. And people are starting to get worried. Listen to Paper Ghosts on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah, this is so much love on it.
Really?
Oh, for sure, no.
Prison committed the crimes.
Why?
And that's all
Why
that
not?
matters. Their colors have this week doesn't matter. They committed the crimes. KMI and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
And his famous trumpet man from out Chicago way. He had a boogie style and no one else could play. He was the top man in his class. But then his number came up and he was gone with the draft. He's in the army now and in the melody. In the boogie boogie paper boy company B. He's in the puzzle and the ring was saying. He had to cut it down and get it in and jam. And everything to understand. He's really big fan. He's the boogie woogie people boy company B. He's the boogie woogie people boy company B. It's so hard to boogie woogie people boy company B. The boogie woogie people boy you take care of easily. Listening to the bar.
And welcome back to Coast to Coast. We're going to take your calls with the data contact to each of you minutes when we come back on Coast to Coast AM. This year is off to a turbulent start, isn't it? Despite the U.S. breaking through the $31 trillion debt ceiling in January, there doesn't seem to be many plans to curb spending. It's time like these that you want to diversify. It's times like these that you want to have physical gold and silver on hand whenever you need it. You can buy it at bullionmax.com/coast in any denomination you want. That's right. Bullion Max will ship the gold and silver fully insured directly to your door. Think about that. Gold and silver, the world's oldest, most proven form of currency, and it's there for you when inflation soars. Or when other assets go sideways.
Yeah, my friend would be like, oh, no, my friend, his name was. No.
Purchase your Silver Star the pitch. Get 6 ounces of solid silver, including a limited calendar coin, something Bullion Max and I set up this for you. Again, go to bullionmax.com/silver and take the first step to building an emergency reserve of gold and
Look
silver.
into the sky and see. I'm just a poor boy. I need no sympathy. I'm easy come, easy go. Little high, little low. Anywhere the wind blows doesn't really matter.
Unlimited talk and text with the flexible data plan starting at just $20 a
But I
month.
think
You can easily add your
just
family
go
and
down.
friends to the plan for just $15 a month for life. You're worried about just Consumer Cellular has the exact same coverage with the major carriers to over 99% of the nation. This is all backed by their 100% risk-free guarantee.
Life is just begun.
Go to consumercellular.com/radio25 and for a limited time, get $25 off when you use promo code radio25. That's consumercellular.com/radio25. Promo code radio25.
Jesus, make me fall. I'm not carry on.
And welcome back to Coast. George Zoe with you, Paul Hendon with us, and Diane with us. We're going to start with calls with Paul. So when you address Tom, make sure to report Paul as we talk about his Zeta connection. Paul, did they ever say, how many civilizations are out there in the universe?
They did say that they thought that their number is just broad, but they said that within this Milky Way galaxy, which is 100,000 light years across, there was about 1,000 civilizations. That's a lot. So, there is.
I had asked Diane, she did not have an answer, but did they ever tell you their propulsion system for their craft? How they did with them space and time? How do they move?
Yeah, so basically, we're using what's called space-time compression to move from one space to the next. So quite often humans will look up and see a craft, and then next thing you know, the craft, gets across the sky and moves to thousands of kilometers, within a half a second. That's because they're compressing and uncompressing time as we know it. And so for us, maybe 10 seconds has gone past it, and then only 1 second.
When you do the fandango, writing me. Figaro, Figaro. He's a poor boy. Nobody loves me. He's just a poor boy from a poor family. Spare him his life with his monstrosity. Come easy go, or you let me go. Twist me loud, yeah, no, we not let you go. Let me go, twist me loud, we let you go. Let me go, twist me loud, let me go, let you go. Let let you go. Beelzebub, it's never put his heart on me. On me. On me.
How much does our government or do governments know about what's going on?
I don't have that information. I'm sure that there's plenty of people out there.
In my eyes.
Have they ever approached
Do you think you can let me and leave me to die? Oh, baby. Baby.
We've given away a lot of information. If anybody wants to read it, they can. And if anybody wants to contact us, they can as well. So we're not worried about the information in any way. There's a lot of books that are out there. Maybe, I don't know, I don't even know how many books, maybe 10 books that we've written so far. And that information is out there.
Start with some calls for you east of the Rockies. Brian is with us in Indianapolis. Hi, Brian.
Hey, George, how you guys doing today?
Fine, good boy. How are you?
I'm alright, man. Hey, listen, I'm kind of have this kind of accent, but Paul, I heard you mention earlier that you think that people can make contact with them. So my wife and I, we're stargazers, as both family knows. So what would,
Very good,
how
Yoshi.
would I go about,
Oh,
or
thanks,
how would
buddy.
you go about, I'm not really sure if I want to do
Yeah,
this,
big
but
dog.
I'm sure Chris will be all in for it. How would I go about contacting them?
Are you
And
done?
what would I expect
Calm.
if they contact me? And I might have a follow-up question, George.
Okay, Eric.
You might.
So,
You might. Well, then come on, make up your fucking mind.
One
Bring
thing
it on
that
the whole
everyone
time.
needs to do is you need to learn about your own energy first. In meditation, learning about how do I feel right now? Because when you're going to step forward to make contact, you must understand what the energies are that are coming to you. You can have spirit people coming to you, or you can have astral energies or astral entities. And so you want to make sure that you understand fully your own energy, so that when you step into the process of creating contact, that when your energy shifts around you, that you know the difference between your own energy and their energy. They're not going to come to people physically. They're going to come to people in mind-to-mind contact by consciousness. And they're going to do that if they know that you understand the difference between their energy and your own energy. Most people do this all the time. Most people work with mediums. They evidence themselves quite clearly. Extraterrestrials can do the same.
Any follow-up, Brian? Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick. So we don't meditate. We always say we want to. We feel like we're in tune with the universe. So this gets a little bit more complicated than just saying, hey, we see you up in the sky, come and talk to us. It isn't. And I'm not making sense from here, George. Have God today.
All right, Brian. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than that.
I can't believe that. What's the point?
What you call it useless is you've just got something going on around you and you've invited to you, but you don't know what's going on. And if these beings are using screen memory technology or, energy distortions or fabric recreation or the phenomenon in ways that they're trying to contact you psychologically, then there's an expectation from them that you have spent time getting to understand your own energy. It's not about getting instant contact, it's about building contact slowly so that it's safe and evidential.
Go to Jim, British Columbia in Canada. Paul, go ahead. Hi, Jim.
Hi, George. Hi, George. Hi, Paul. Thank you very much for taking my call, you guys. I'm kind of an off-the-wall question here. I don't know if I had contact with invaders or not. I had a contact with an off-worlder guy a couple of times, two different people. And I left a triangle on my finger right in front of my eye. That was in 2020. But I had the hammer on the window. I had a picture that I took. And this is very, very odd. I had tagged the picture. This was right when we had all the heat here in D.C. It was 49 Celsius. I didn't know what this object was up the sky, but I tagged the picture. I took a bunch of pictures in the same area. And I tagged the picture and wrote, your energy, not because it was, I didn't know what it was, so I just put it there for my own interest. And when I went to save the picture, I could still reset or save on the picture. When I went to save the picture, I hit save, and what looked exactly like I don't know, I guess there's great alien hands waving at me through the window of my car.
There's that one girl who, what is it? She's very pretty. That one girl lives in vintage. There's a blonde who does it, but there's a brunette who's really super interesting.
Hammering on my window, if you could believe that, I'm on the 6th floor of the apartment, outside the window, bam, 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 bam. But it wasn't in our reality. It sounded like there was about 2 or 3
Oh, my
feet
Instagram,
out
like
from the
vintage girl.
window,
Oh, fuck you,
and loud hammering. My building is completely silent with seniors here.
Like, they get, they're gonna get killed.
I was kind of like choking it in.
Fucking
I sort of
coffins on
startled at
four
one
wheels.
point when they did it. This was last
Four
year.
wheel
I
coffins, kids.
clapped
That's
my
funny
hands
what
really
you say.
loud 3 or 4
Them
times to
fuckers'
kind of
cars
say,
are like
I can
four
hear
wheel
you guys
coffins.
outside the window. And then I heard
Vintage calls for girl in the 80s. Super, super, super
as
cute.
if they were flying away from the window out into the night. And you could hear them not bam, 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 and it disappeared.
Girl living
As it went, it was
vintage.
very odd. And I thought, well, I don't know. It wasn't disturbing or anything. I thought, well, I don't know if that was it or not, but the picture that I had with those hands through the window, I guarantee you, if you saw it, you'd say, wow. You know, I don't know what that is, but it sure looks like UFO hands through my open window in my car.
Are we being visited at all by other races, UFO races?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I suggest that all the time. If I want to, I can send you that picture. I'll have a look at it.
Is your website?
Yes, they can send it through the beta_event@hotmail.com.
Okay, and the website is thezetaconnection.com in case you don't get it. Lots of strange things out there, that's for sure. Did you have many pictures, or did you have artists sketch what you've seen, Paul?
We've we called craft in, and we took a picture of it. It's a triangular shaped craft. It's about 50 metres above the house. It was taken at night. The craft dematerialised.
Oh, I get it. I mean, to eyes like you're drunk.
Quite good. We still got the outline.
Why?
And the shape.
Because I thought it was supposed to be like I want sex. I saw this and I was like, oh, this bitch wants a fucking dick and pussy. Like I thought iced coffee meant pussy and Gatorade the bottle meant dick, but she's just wow, your head's in a gutter pit. Hey, just for some rabbits and I'm sure like it. All right, kid, are you done?
That's only for us because we like to have that information as well.
Yes,
Carlos is with us in Miami. Welcome to the show. Hi, Carlos.
Good morning, George. Good morning, Paul. I have a question. If you recall, Betty at Barney Hill, they also, Betty recalls that, she was walking around the track and she looked at this reset area. There were frozen spheres, silver spheres, and she asked the beings what were those, and they told her that was where the part of the universe that they came from. And she said she didn't know where that was because she didn't study astronomy, that there were people on Earth that did study just particularly astronomy. And so they told her that you don't know
what the fuck that thing's doing.
What
I know this thing's doing its thing.
Eventually they found out that it was
But it's kind of a pain in the ass, and that thing's amazing. Russell Westbrook was traded. Lakers are finally to land D'Angelo Russell, Mike Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt.
Would they have
Right?
or told you
Jared
that they
Vanderbilt.
also have met Betty and Barney Hill, or that ever came up, or you even asked that question? In regards to the first question, they told us that themselves, and generally when they first come to us, they were clicking. There was lots of clicking noises. We were able to record them speaking, but we didn't know what was being said. That was a problem. In regards to Betty and Barney Hill, when Kathleen Martin spoke to the teachers through me, they indicated that they knew of Kathleen and her generational line. So they never mentioned Betty or Barney personally, but there's a lot of other information, of course. It's very difficult to give all the information out right now because we're very limited with time. There's a lot of things going on. Just for the planet at the moment.
Next up, let's go to Shani in California. Welcome to the show. Hi, Shani.
Hi guys. Well, I'm asking a question that I actually asked like about a month ago to another speaker tag, but she didn't know anything about it. But it relates to the data, so maybe you can help me.
Okay.
So I heard on that show Project Exposure,
Sons,
there's this guy Tim who's like
man,
a
Kevin
undocumented
Durant
from Germany,
in a
and he has
blockbuster
this.
Nets deal.
He's been told that
The Suns landed
crazy
Kevin
theory that
Durant
the
in a
light that we
blockbuster
see when we
Nets
die
deal.
is actually an installation that's
The
been
Suns
like
landed Kevin
planted by the data
Durant in a blockbuster Nets deal.
are so
Right.
correct that to keep
He's
returning
been on so many
back to
fucking
Earth and
games.
reincarnating on Earth rather than,
You kind of lose
jumping
this
around the
shit
universe
version
after we leave our bodies out.
gotta be like
Yeah, so
he never
basically,
had the 30 year. Really?
basically when a person leaves the physical
Shout out to
body and
Mark.
they move towards the role,
First time I
there's a
could
lot
ever
of
be
different
video.
belief systems people have and they carry them with them.
The price is taking
The
this.
leaders have said
I'll
that
first
they
do that
do
kind of
not
mental check out.
in any way capture humans. They do not in any way work with human souls. They don't want human souls.
They lost
They
South
don't think
Carolina.
human souls. And the
Being
problem
hard
is that a
for
lot of people are using
Robin.
that type of information to instill fear into the human race.
Biggie's
Because of course,
When's the last time they lost two
beings,
straight up
we all know that we need when we
regular
know
season
that we need
games?
to travel somewhere. And so to be told that there's the capacity for a person
They're usually so deep
also
though.
creates a lot of fear.
Yeah.
Because it's not true.
Yeah, yours. I love
We've
the
got
cool
Michael
mic
now in
sound
Santa Fe, New
because
Mexico. Hello, Michael. Go ahead.
Hello, George. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Sure thing.
I mean, you never know.
I'd like to ask if there were any other places in Australia, because I've been all over Australia, that this type of thing has,
Yeah.
you've experienced it with other people that you know, be it in New South Wales or the center of the country or the western part of the country.
Do we have a
Are
spot
you
in
done?
Australia where these connections occur?
There's a lot of places globally where there is a lot of contact. And I would suggest that, of course, the areas with the least amount of EMF, the least amount of interference, is where the craft comes. It is based around who is there at the time. We've been with other people in other groups, and the craft are quite large. It just depends on where you are and how much, how clear the night sky is, and how much capacity there is for the craft to easily materialize into the three-dimensional.
Have you ever been scared before, Blackdown?
I was scared. Remember I said that I had dreams of taking me down when I was younger? I was terrified, but the difference was that they were basically trying to get me onto a craft. When I was much older, they would come in and say, "Do you want to come on the craft?" I control let go and go to sleep. And then they pick.
Yo, she remember we had this thing?
Come out. I was got to the point where I wasn't worried anymore. I would suggest that in the beginning, when I didn't know what I knew now, yes, I was very concerned about it. Which is why we spend a lot of time talking to it. So I think people have read a lot of information on the internet that's untrue, and a lot of people have a lot of negative connotations about extraterrestrial contact.
But you think they're safe? They don't have any agenda?
So far, let's imagine that there are 1,000 beings, 1,000 civilizations. We only work with one, and they so far have given evidence. They have definitely, been upfront in the information they've given. They've come with what they said that they would. And so, it really gets to the point where you need to take somebody at their word and build relationships on that. I've said to this day, the only thing that I find to be negative or unfriendly towards humans, but I'll terminate contact with
Would
them.
you be mad if
Paul, we're going to come
you
back in
were
just
with a
a
girl
moment and take
and
final
she
calls
stuffed
and
her bra?
wrap things up with you. Paul Hamden with us,
Yeah,
of course. Cyan is the other person who has been in contact with the Zetas back in the
I'd be like,
moment.
what if she had
The free
Kleenex?
Coast Zone email newsletter is sent out 6 days a week, and it's a great way to keep up on all things Coast. With detailed programming,
Not a whole box, girl.
fascinating
She's
today's
got just 2
great
boxes.
listing,
Those fucking
upcoming
shoes
guest info,
of
and
Kevin
weekly
in the
free audio
office.
clips. It's a must-have for Coast fans. Look for the free sign up on the coastcoastam.com
Wouldn't it be something like that fucking computer? Just like, it's like amazing. Yoshi. Remember, it was like, oh God, 462. 462.
I'm Bree Tennis in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Police have recovered about $200,000 worth of stolen solar panels and discovered 2 warehouses, one in North Hollywood, the other in Chatsworth, filled with stolen goods. They're still looking for the suspect. A 24-year-old woman has died from a fentanyl overdose while at a rehab clinic in Riverside County. The family is now suing. The clinic has since closed. Subway says they will no longer make sandwiches with pre-sliced meat as part of their ongoing transformation. That will take place by summer. There's a new bill in the Senate that will allow
No more pre-sliced meat? What do you mean?
caterers will be a thing.
No more meat at all?
Assembly Bill
No
471
more
passes.
pre-sliced.
And today is National
What does that
Pizza
mean?
Pie
Do they
Day.
slice it
36%
there?
of us eat pizza for breakfast. South 100 from KFI. Sunshine on the way.
Subway
Highs will reach the mid to upper 70s.
Pizza?
Right now it's 52 in Lake Forest.
Huh?
La Habra has
No, it's
53.
called Subway. It's so much Subway in Savannah. Subway. It's called Subway pre-sliced meat. What the fuck is this?
I'm Bree Tennis.
Are they going all part of? They're going to go kosher. We're going to make Subway kosher. It's phasing out pre-sliced thing. Oh, they're going to slice their own meat. That's tight.
Silmar, there is a work zone 2 days eastbound from the 118 to Wheatland Avenue.
Kosher meat?
2 left lanes going to be shut down for road work until 6. Expect delays. KFI, the sky will get you there faster, O'Brien, man.
Okay, guys, Valentine's Day is coming up.
Wow, Subway CEO thinks in-store slicing made the future. Some places disagree. Holy shit. Have you ever been to a busy Subway? That is gonna blow up in their fucking faces unlike anything I've ever seen. Have you ever been to a fucking busy Subway? Holy fuck, it is the busiest fucking thing. Oh my god, you're fucked. Subway's fucked. I mean, they're gonna just be sitting there doing this all fucking day. Unless it's like already pre-doing it. But then it's like, I don't know, do they have some kind of fucking machine that just automatically does it?
We've got the #1
Hey, Murray.
football podcast in the world, and Rihanna.
They have the #1 football podcast in the world? Wow, dude, that's something to write home about. What you write home? Hey, remember when? Hey, dude, remember when your thing was working? What's his name? Hey, Elon Musk, you fucking cunt. When's your shit work?
Featuring national brand tenants such as Walmart, Kroger, Whole Foods, and many others. FNRP is one of the largest indicators of grocery-anchored private equity real estate in the U.S. Build your portfolio today with our investor relations team. Call 888-301-9010. That's 888-301-9010. Or get started at fnrpradio.com. That's fnrpradio.com. Caller does it also see what annual returns and quarterly cash distribution our investors are earning. 888-301-9010 or fnrpradio.com. Results are not guaranteed for your principal. Securities are only available to verified accredited investors. Any representations as to stability, diversification, security, or resistance to inflation reflect our belief in such outcomes. They may not be realized. Cash distributions are not guaranteed. Past results may not be future results. Visit fnrpradio.com. AM 640. More stimulating talk. KFI Live.
everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. KFI, AM 640, more stimulating talk. KFI, AM 640.
At coasttocoastam.com.
All the memories
Thanks for the memories, kid.
of sentimental verse.
Who's in my
Nothing in my purse. And chuckles when the preacher said, for better or for worse. How lovely it was. Thanks for the memory of Schubert's serenade. Little things of jade and traffic jams and anagrams and
logo is
bills
like
we never
6
paid.
circles.
How
Hey.
lovely it
Yeah,
was.
people like it.
We who could laugh over big things were parted by only a slight thing. I wonder if we did the right thing. Oh well, that's life, I guess. I love your desk. Do you? It's pretty.
Fuck you, bitch. The memories.
From somewhere out there, this is Coast to Coast AM with George Story.
Pissing
We'll be
in
back
the
to wrap
sink.
things up with Cyan in just a moment here on Coast to Coast. As
I'm
we talk
pissing in
about
the
the
sink.
Zetas and their
Why not?
involvement with them, to be sure.
Huh?
Beyond Belief, that's
Why
our television programming. Take advantage and sign up to watch the episode. And if you head over to beyondbelief.com right now, we've got 3 free ad-free episodes plus a few other surprises.
I've never used it ever seen anybody's chat. Really? One time he used it. One time I saw him. And I was like, Yoshi, give me a. And Yoshi was like, oh, I gotta hurry up. Yoshi, I either have to get big this weekend or I'm fucked. But I have a feeling I am. Like, I'm pretty confident about it. Oh, God. Yoshi.
Appeared in more than 12 Hollywood films, and he is going to tell us so many stories about his career. This is going to be a lot of fun. So head over to coasttocoastam.com right now. Lex has got all the info. I can get blast fee tickets right up there. It's got so much history. You know, I was watching a YouTube clip when he was on the Ed Sullivan show. Whoa, that's a long time ago. It was doing forever. He was on Bandstand with Dick Clark. I mean, all this great stuff. Did you catch his kind of heavy metal period there? Yeah, I did. It freaked everybody out because nobody knew what he was doing. Well, we'll talk about that with him too. Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
that
He'll be like, there's something for you to be
Ding dong,
if stress gets you down, and maybe you're fatigued or moody and would like to start the day with more energy, then you would like to relax in the evening throughout the night while losing weight. We have something for you. Elevate and accelerate. Dr. Adam Booter explains more.
So what is it about Elevate that really makes it so powerful? Number one, 4.5 servings of phytonutrients. Again, that's taking whole foods and putting it into a capsule. There's adaptogens to help our body combat chronic stresses that are coming at us every single day. No trophies. They can actually help to establish healing neurologically. You know, our cells that fire together are going to be wired together. You've heard of people saying that they're firing on all cylinders. That is what this does. I'll tell you, when I started taking this, within the first day, I noticed better mental clarity, better energy. The next thing that we look at is the accelerator. Looking at sculpting blends.
Are you done? Hey, dog. Hey, dog. Oh, hey, dog. Hey, dog.
There's the
Hey,
prebiotic.
dog.
There's the
Hey,
enzyme
dog.
blend that's
Hey,
restoring that
dog.
gut health. So it's cleansing, let's restore it, let's release that serotonin and that dopamine to be able to reduce anxiety, to help to reduce that chronic fatigue, to help to increase the immune system of our body as well. I have found that just with these 3 capsules, with people that I am seeing are having phenomenal success.
Georgia's Power Pack. Order now and receive free gift Be Slim, refreshing weight loss tablets. Accelerate, elevate, and Be Slim. Order now at healthylooking.com or 800-394-9930. Don't forget promo code George for free shipping. George's Power Pack, now with free gift Be Slim and free shipping. That's 800-394-9930. Looking.com.
We talk a lot about whether we're alone in the universe, and Marvelous Entertainment has that same question, releasing the newest in science fiction that specifically deals with this question. Marvin Sunderland is the certified film director and the genius behind a number of novels dealing with this question.
Yeah, this is a really great series. It's 7 novels, and they take you on an adventure for a crashed alien spaceship. So all I can say is brace yourself. This is going to be fun. Check it out.
Journey with Sergeant Wackett. He's the star of the book novel In Search of a Crashed Alien Spaceship that leads into alien invasion.
My friend, his name was
Yosh. War underway in the underworld. Get 20% off the entire 7-novel series. And all future graphic novels when you enter
Here's my Yosh.
If you would, at marvelous.com. That's marvelous.com. marvelous.com.
Has anybody seen that thing?
Imagine you're in a room with 4 of the statistically, one of you is a victim of identity theft. That's right, 1 in 5. And these aren't careless people either. They're probably a lot like you, watching your accounts and credits. Always enough, especially with your personal info in more places than ever. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself by monitoring your identity and alerting you to threats you could miss on your own. If you become a victim of identity theft, a U.S.-based LifeLock restoration specialist will be dedicated to your case and work to fix it. Now, no one can prevent all identity theft and monitor all transactions at all businesses, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock or go to lifelock.com and use promo code George. That's promo code George to save up to 25% off your first year, or 1-800-LifeLock. And welcome back to Coast, George. Going back to Diana is with us now. So let's go to the first time caller, very welcome to the program.
George, I'm first time caller, but I listen to your program quite often.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question for Diane. In a conversation with the aliens, did you ever ask them, do they believe in God?
That's a great question. Diane, does that question of do they believe in another creator ever come up?
It comes up quite frequently in especially the public settings. Everyone's always very interested to know their take on that. And yes, they believe in a source consciousness that is responsible for the creation of everything. They don't use the concept of God as humans do, because they're not humans, but they definitely have their own belief structure centered around a source consciousness that is the creator of all.
That's fantastic. Diane, I want to thank you and Paul for being part of the program. Good luck with your continued travels with the gators, and get one of them maybe one day and get them on the show. And, as we talk about UFOs and extraterrestrial life, we always have to remember the late Brad Stein. Tell me about the story of Epsilon Beta. Yeah, this is an incredible story that a lot of people might not be aware of what very well could be an alien object that is circling on Earth.
You know, I'm so intrigued by that, and you picked up on it. When it first came out, I could not imagine why people weren't going wild about this. But here is a broadcast, so to speak, and sometimes we theorize that maybe there's like I don't know what kind of device it be, but sometimes a tape recorder that's broadcasting messages. But here, and serious-minded astronomers that, you know, this is coming from a source, it's coming from something that, you know, is circling, it is in orbit, and it is broadcasting the meaningful messages. Now, and then it just disappeared from the stories, and I tried to track it down and get more information, and then I don't like to project thoughts like this, and sometimes we get a little weary of saying, oh, it must be a cover-up. But I could not understand that this could really be anything other than some kind of cover-up for this information, and there must have been more that would be released, and that we reported in the book, that alien contact, it seems as though someone was telling us, we're here and we're available for communication, and then there was nothing else.
This object apparently was parked around our moon about 13,000 years ago.
Yeah, that was what the communication claimed, that it had been parked there, like it was kind of an overseer, like that was its mission to say when we were ready enough to receive this information.
Well, it would still be there in orbit, right?
Yes, that's what I understand, but I haven't been able to get any more information about it. There was a lot at first, and I tried to track it down at the time.
Both cameras
and
the
then
way
it
to do it.
just dried up. I couldn't get anyone else to answer, but I'm stubborn, and
Looks like
I agree with you. We got to put this in the book.
It's a great
People
story.
get excited about it. Some additional statement from someone who should know will be forced to make these statements and explain what happened.
Well, if it's still broadcasting something, we should have setting point of view
Chili teenagers.
somewhere. Yes, indeed. And I can't believe that it isn't pointed there. But I can't get any more information. Maybe someone was higher ranked than Sherry or myself. And I'm hoping that people will see that someone with that kind of influence and demand that we say that what has happened to Epsilon movement.
It must have concluded that there are a lot of UFO reports out there, and the good ones, something's happening on this planet.
Oh,
You have to conclude that.
okay, first of all, no disagreement from you. It's a great mystery.
It is.
Some people feel they have the answer. And they're very aloof about that. And they're very superstitious, saying we have the answer. As long as we have been in this research field, we realize that it's a multi-level phenomenon. It's a multi-level, multi-dimensional phenomenon. We know something is going on. We don't know if it's extraterrestrial, if it's multi-dimensional. We don't know. So I suspect there might be bases under the sea. There might be bases under earth to account for some of the ancient legends. But the phenomenon has been with us forever. And we feel that it influences every aspect of our existence in ways that we haven't even begun to dream of yet. We feel that strongly about it, that whatever the phenomenon is, and we're not saying they come from Alpha Centauri, we're not saying they come from the hollow earth, we're simply saying consider all of this as a great mystery, a multi-layered mystery that something is going on.
Why do you think it's such a young age? Me, and so many other people just seem fascinated with stories of UFOs and extraterrestrial life.
Outside.
What happened to this?
Okay.
Well, I think the eminent philosopher Lady Gaga says we were just born that way.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
I have to bring up one thing. I got excited about Upsilon Buddhist, which is a favorite of mine. Some people like to play the name game with research. And
No,
I think
dog,
we
well,
cannot overlook that the British astronomer
Is that
who
thing's gonna
made the
kick ass and take
discovery
names?
of this robot
That's
satellite
tight.
was named Duncan Lunan.
How about that?
So again, moon, it's beside the moon. So those little things.
Yo, dog, I know a band, dog.
Nice to research.
You know, we continue to get
I'm a bit sort of dial.
stories all over the place. Yet there are some people who truly believe government's going to disclose. I don't think so, and I've told them that. What do you think?
I don't either. I said that, I think as long as I've been researching with it in writing, I should say, which goes back to the 50s and the first book in 66 about UFOs, I said then, it's not going to. And people say, well, they can't keep a secret. Oh, yeah, they can. I mean, but we have, and talking about this not long ago with with Kevin Randall, whom I know is aware of his fine research, and continually
What's that?
finding people making death dead. I hate to use the word confession, testimony.
Sure.
That's testimony.
They just want to get it off their chest.
Yeah. And you know, I can't see why someone has kept their secret all of their lives and then on their deathbed they want to leave that as part of their legacy. So it seems we're building up to a time of disclosure, but I really am not optimistic about this coming anytime soon. I know our friends and the actual political side of it, they're very enthusiastic, and we hear from them regularly and respect all of their research and what they're trying to do. And, you know, they're optimists, and I try to be a cockeyed optimist as much as possible. So I'm hopeful that we will have some sort of great revelation, but I'm just not terribly optimistic that it'll happen in our lifetime anyway.
Yeah, unless it's a mistake.
A mistake.
If something like that happens.
Good one, George.
Let's go to the phones. David in Pleasant Hills, California, west of the Rockies. David, go ahead. You're on with Brad Steiger.
Hey, George. Hey, Brad. How you doing? Great. Okay, George. Good. What's your name? David. I'm David. David. Okay, David. Yeah, how's it going? Yeah, I had a couple people that I've been kind of researching lately. YouTube videos. It's all over the internet. With stuff like what John Lear has talked about. One of the big ones is Stephen Greer and the congressional. I think it was a congressional hearing that he was trying to get going as disclosure goes. Things like one thing I want to say though is I don't think we'll ever see disclosure because, as far as I know, the Bilderberg group is being controlled by Grace. And as far as that's going on, as far as all that secrecy and these destructive agendas are going on, we're not going to see anything come out in the open.
Let's hypothesize about this, Brad. You know, this group, the Illuminati, the Bilderbergs, these people, do you think they're being controlled by ETs? I would say not. I think they just don't want us to know because they're afraid they will lose control of us.
Yes. No, I don't. Well, it stays open, as I certainly have to do, and you certainly have to do. Stay open to all, and I'm open to that type of comment. But I think the Bilderbergers, Illuminati, there's a lot to write about conspiracies. We're just being overwhelmed trying to keep up with that. But again, the caller agrees that there's probably not going to be disclosure as far as groups being controlled by ETs or aliens or multidimensionals, whatever. Then I think the whole field has and can have a certain paranoid aspect to it. And I think we have to be aware of that. I've seen so many friends since I began really kind of lose it, who were serious researchers, got in real too deeply, felt that they really had insight into the truth. And then sad to say, many of them suffer mental issues and
What happens?
I won't go on, but it's a field, and I told Sherry before we really got into this strong again, it's like entering a magic theater in one sense. And I said, things are going to happen, because when I was really into it in the 60s and the 70s, things that just beggared normal, sensible descriptions happened. And when we really got into it, those strange, unexplainable, mysterious things happen. And you get information from many sources, and then things are, you just have to watch a very cautious line. There's something about entering this field that you have to stay balanced. You really have to know yourself. And that's why we maintain that. A time of meditation, a time of prayer, a time of reading from the Holy Scriptures of all faiths. I think you have to have that kind of balance. And it's a field, we are convinced, I'll say it again, it's the great mystery that affects all of them in so many ways.
what fascinates me too, Brad, the stories of submersible UFOs.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
They pop out of the ocean. They're witnessed by sailors and people on boats, ships. Truly incredible stuff.
Marvelous stuff. And get those stories we receive all the time, you know, from shrimp fishermen and other fishermen and military men, Navy men, and so forth who write us with their reports.
Can you imagine being on a boat and you see a UFO smash itself out of the water and just take off?
Well, we stood on a shore of a lake in Peru and saw that happen at least a dozen times in one night.
Yeah.
No explanation what we were really seeing, but we all knew
No
what
dog.
it looked like we were seeing.
Anything going back in or just going out?
No, they go too. They would come in and out, dive, then go out, and almost like they were putting on a little.
Let's go to Clearwater, Florida. Scott, east of the Rockies. Hi, Scott. Go ahead.
Hey, good evening. They were putting a show on for you, Brad. They knew that you'd be watching, so they put on a little play.
No, okay.
You can't figure out what these things are, but I figured it out when I first heard about
Now, why isn't this
the
fucking
UFOs
clear?
are actually, they're supernatural. I don't know why you don't want to actually say they're supernatural. You say they're multi-dimensional, but you can't really, you kind of stay away from saying they're actually supernatural.
I don't think you've read many of my books, have you?
I've never read any of your books.
Well, then you would know that I began speaking of the supernatural aspect back in the 60s, much to the dismay of my fellow researchers.
And, I still think a lot of people will say they're dimensional, they're demonic.
Mm-hmm.
I still think they're coming from planetary systems within our galaxy.
Well, you cannot deny that as a workable theory, but as we said, it's such a multi-layered theory. And certainly the spiritual or the supernatural, people always have a knee-jerk word for a lot of people, but I think we understand what we mean when I say that. That aspect of another dimension, another world, another supernatural, whatever you define that, because there are so many similarities between UFO phenomena, aliens, and ghosts.
Fascinating discussion. For Dan Galante, Tom Dan Heiser, Lisa Lyon, Lex Lonehood, Sean Ladisor, Stephanie Smith, Chris Bowles, Tim Denal, George Knapp, and Ian Punnin. I'm George
That
Morris.
bitch says it's being sent, dog.
We'll see you on our
This
next
bitch
edition.
says,
Until then,
fuck.
be safe. Hey, all, it's Dean Sharp. For emergency backup power, there's only one name you need to know: Duffy Power. Since 1965, Southern California has relied on Duffy for hospitals and high-rises, data centers and school districts, every form of business, big or small, even homes and RVs. Whether it's a new generator, an emergency rental, or Duffy's legendary repair and maintenance service, Duffy Power has you covered. Go to DuffyPower.com, DuffyPower.com. That's DUTHIE Power.com. At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 38,000 items ready to ship.
Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com. Someone uses your toilet and it overflows. Can you imagine how embarrassing that is for your guests and for you? Hello, I'm John Akoyan, founder of Rooter Hero Plumbing. You're hosting a party, the water on the floor, and your guest has to tell you that the toilet is backed up. And worst of all, you have to tell your guests that they can't use the bathroom. I shudder when they tell the story because it happened to me. Can you imagine? I own Rooter Hero Plumbing and my toilet overflowed. Talk about being humbled. Well, the truth is,
he had to cut something in there because why he doesn't understand what the name of the company is at the beginning.
Drain 77. That's what I did, and our plumber was here within the hour. Not because I'm the owner, but that's just what we do. I'm so confident that you'll be satisfied with our services that I put my cell phone number on every business card. 866-DRAIN-77. That's 866-DRAIN-77.
What do you? They changed it back.
Los Angeles, Orange County, live
Okay, so how
iHeartRadio app.
fucking
Smash and haul. I'm Bree Tennis in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Police are looking for thieves who made off with an ATM machine in what is being called a smash and haul. It happened at a convenience store at a gas station in Orange. Surveillance video shows two men breaking a window, tying one end of a scrap to a white pickup truck, the other end to the ATM inside. The store is reporting about $15,000 in damages and about $6,000 lost in the ATM. Police say the theft took mere minutes. The toll from the earthquake in Turkey and Syria has now surpassed 16,000. The World Health Organization is now sending in healthcare resources to prevent people from dying in the aftermath of the quake. SoCal Edison says they're raising their rates by 4.4%. The company says higher natural gas prices are impacting their ability to deliver power. There's a bus driver shortage in LA. As a result, there are longer wait times and fewer routes. The driver who drove off a parking structure next to Children's Hospital of Orange County confused the gas pedal for the brake. The 69-year-old woman drove off the structure, landing about 15 feet on the roof of an adjacent building. Only minor injuries reported. California Assembly member Isaac Ryan is proposing an amendment to the California Constitution that would allow people serving time at state or federal prisons to vote.
It's a responsibility to make sure that our democracy in California isn't just good. Now is the time to make sure that democracy truly includes everybody.
Disney says Frozen, Toy Story, and Zootopia sequels are all in the works. They're also cutting 7,000 jobs. And the Quarterly Journal of Economics says domestic violence increases after the Super Bowl by about 10%. Southline weather from KFI.
Yeah, because the Bears don't.
Mostly sunny skies today. Highs reaching in the mid to upper 70s. Right now it's 50 degrees in Mission Viejo. Anaheim checks in with 51. 55 in Torrance and 52 in Walnut. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Bree Tennis.
In Fountain Valley, there is a full freeway closure, 405 northbound from Brookers to Warner Avenue. Caltrans has always shut down for road work until 5. In the city of Orange, we have good news. Earlier crash on the 55 northbound at the 22 has been cleared from lanes. Your drive is recovering in that area. And in Mid-City, there is a full freeway closure. This is on the 10 westbound from National all the way to Overland Avenue. Caltrans has always shut down for road work until 4. KFI, the Sky Hopes get you there faster on Bright. Thanks. AT&T's DirecTV just removed Newsmax from 13 million homes. AT&T owns DirecTV, and this is the second conservative channel they removed in a year. Meanwhile, DirecTV is still keeping what they call 22 liberal news channels on. So if you're angry about the censorship, Newsmax wants you to speak up. Newsmax is the 4th highest rated cable news channel. DirecTV isn't taking off the other liberal channels. Ron DeSantis says Newsmax was targeted, and it's wrong. Newsmax says AT&T and DirecTV censorship is unacceptable. If you care about censorship, seriously consider canceling your DirecTV and AT&T services. And if you're a DirecTV or an AT&T customer, call 877-Newsmax, and they'll connect you. You can contact your congressman to complain about censorship. Call 877-Newsmax. They'll connect you too. Millions are joining Newsmax's fight. Show your support. Call 877-Newsmax now. With the awards, big game fun, and Valentine's deals, I think that makes Morongo the goat of good times. Now your top reasons to visit Morongo.
with this thing, bro.
Number 3.
Are you done? Are you done?
And the number 1 reason.
Big Game Blitz, the big game with amazing food and drink specials.
Morongo, good time. Hey, all, it's Dean Sharp. Did you hear the news? Yeah. California Utilities Commission just changed the rates by which solar customers are credited for their power output. It's called Net Metering 3.0. It's now the law, and no one is happy about it because it means getting 75% less credit from the big power companies. The good news is there's a grandfathering period, and you can still permanently lock in the awesome rates of Net Metering 2.0, but you need to have your solar documents filed by April 14th. The point is this: if you have ever thought about going solar, now is the time, which means now is the time to call Sunlux. Sunlux will walk you through how to lock in Net Metering 2.0 by the April 14th deadline. Even if you're not ready to install the system, call Sunlux and get your solar documents filed. There is no time to waste to lock in the best returns on solar you will ever see. Start today at sunlux.com. Sunlux.com. CSLB 1008377.
Would you believe this bullshit? I accident lawyer is the way to go. 800-208-10.
The hit true crime podcast, Paper Ghosts, is back with a brand new case. Season 3
Yo,
digs deep into the 1992 cold case murder of Tammy Jo Zwicky, a New Jersey college student, and uncovers a murky police investigation, a pool of new suspects, and a community still desperate for answers 30 years later.
Tammy's supposed to be on campus, and she's not here, and people are starting to get worried.
Listen to Paper Ghosts on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. This is Jacob Emron. If you've been in a truck accident, call 844-24-JACOB. KFI AM 640.
This program has been pre-recorded. From the City of Angels near the Pacific Ocean, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm George Norrie. This is Coast to Coast AM. Later tonight, the ET presence. Here's what's happening. More than 15,000 people have already been killed and tens of thousands injured after that magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck Turkey and Syria on Monday. At least 3 U.S. citizens were killed in Turkey. Thousands of buildings collapsed, and aid agencies are particularly worried about northwestern Syria, where already more than 4 million people were already relying on humanitarian assistance before the earthquake. Disney said it would cut 7,000 jobs from its global workforce, part of a multi-billion-dollar cost-cutting initiative aimed at streamlining the company's operations in a period of media industry
Is this the
turmoil.
Cordell Flyer?
Disney had about
Glee Club?
220,000 workers as of
Go Big
October
Red.
1st, of which approximately 166,000
It is.
of them will employ here in the United States. A cut of 7,000 jobs represents about 3% of its global workforce. Mr. Sedgwick, the registered investment advisor with us. Well, sign of the times. Other companies are doing the same thing, Mish.
Nice quick, Doug.
Let's do a quick recap here. In November, Meta, Facebook laid off 11,000. In November, Amazon laid off 10,000. In January of this year, Google laid off 12,000. Microsoft laid off 10,000. Salesforce laid off 8,000. Amazon laid off another 8,000. And IBM laid off 3,000.
And Dell just announced 6,500 workers.
It's really incredible. That last jobs report, George, we need to talk about that because the headline number was we created 894,000 jobs. I'm looking at this headline
before were a population revision. So the baseline job growth was actually 84,000, not 894,000, like they said. So, it's really strange. I need to get in a message here for the listeners, because this is going to potentially affect, billions of taxpayers. And this announcement just came out a couple of days ago from the IRS. They're telling people to hold off filing their returns because
Rabbi's such a pimp.
12 states, California and Virginia are two of them, issued these inflation tax refunds. California called theirs a middle class tax fund. And in California, almost 32 million people got these checks, and the IRS is telling people, well, we haven't decided yet whether this is taxable or not. So anybody who filed and is getting a refund, well, maybe the refund isn't as big as they thought it would be. And this is going on in 12 states. They're telling people, and most probably don't even know about it here yet, George, that they might have to refile. So my word of advice would be, don't spend this off, and wait for the ruling. Now, no doubt the Biden administration is going to pressure the IRS to say, this is just free money, but we'll see. I don't know, and the IRS doesn't either yet, George.
All right, my friend, we'll talk to you next week. Some Fabuloso cleaning products have been recalled over risk of bacteria contamination in them, according to the Consumer Product Safety Commission. As of the recall, no incidents or injuries have been reported. The Colgate-Palmolive Company, the manufacturer of the popular brand, recalled about 4.9 million bottles in the U.S., 56,000 in Canada. Fabuloso says about 3.9 million of those bottles were never released for sale. A Texas man accused of targeting Latinos during a 2019 massacre of 23 people at an El Paso Walmart store has pleaded guilty to federal hate crimes. Patrick Crucius changed his plea to guilty during a hearing in the U.S. District Court in Texas after federal prosecutors said they would not seek the death penalty if he pled guilty. California voters could decide whether to reinstate voting rights to people in prison on felony convictions under a newly proposed constitutional amendment. It would be a major expansion of suffrage for incarcerated people. California would join Maine and Vermont, where felons never lose their right to vote, even while they are still in prison. Let's check in with Howard Bloom, author of The Genius of the Beast. Howard, what do you think of this one?
Well, Monday, a constitutional amendment was introduced in the California legislature by Assembly member Isaac Bryan, and Bryan's amendment, as you said, would give voting rights to people in prison on felony convictions. 2 days later, David Cruz, an ex-felon who spent 13 years in state prison and then helped organize a nonprofit called Initiate Justice, held a press conference to support the prison vote amendment. Cruz said, despite what many people assume, people in prison care about the same political issues that we outside do. So the question is the issue of the right of prisoners to vote important, or is it just trivial? First off, the amendment is not a shoo-in. To become law, they'll have to get a 2/3 vote in both California's Senate and California's Assembly, and that'll be rough. But if passed, will the amendment automatically do what the Initiate Justice program wants? Will it, quote, advance progressive policies in California? The progressives point out that blacks are only 6% of California's population, but they are a full 20% of California's prisoners. And if any of these people were falsely accused, the way that Tyree Nichols was a month ago, some of these prisoners may be jailed for simply being black. So, the argument goes, this is a voter suppression issue. Explains the leader of America's progressive movement, Senator Bernie Sanders. Quote, if we were serious about calling ourselves a democracy, we must firmly establish that the right to vote is an inalienable and universal principle that applies to all American citizens 18 years and older, period, whether you're in jail or not. As you'd expect, Mitch McConnell, the leader of the Republicans in the Senate, disagrees. He says, quote, voting is a privilege properly exercised at the voting booth, not from a prison cell. We are talking about rapists, murderers,
are groups in prison far better organized than the Republican or Democratic parties, and that those groups could easily dictate who a prisoner votes for. First, the black prison population has been subject since 1950 to recruitment by the Nation of Islam, a virulently anti-Semitic organization whose head calls Jews termites and Satanists. Today, 18% of America's 2 million prisoners are black Muslims. That's roughly 360,000 prisoners nationwide, a big hunk of potential votes. Then there are prison gangs. The Latin population of prisons is controlled by the Mexican mafia, who maintain obedience by killing those who stray from their orders. And the white population is ruled by groups like the anti-Semitic Aryan Brotherhood and the Nazi lowriders, who enforce their power with torture and murder. What's worse, these groups also control networks of gangs outside the prison system. Their revenue stream comes from the sale of drugs inside and outside of prison. If given the chance, do you think the Nation of Islam, the Mexican Mafia, and the Aryan Brotherhood would tell prisoners who to vote for? I suspect they would. I agree that to maintain a democracy, the right to vote should be absolute, and that the forms of voter suppression first invented 148 years ago to suppress the votes of newly liberated slaves should be abolished. But in this debate, it's important to take into account the mechanisms of severe voter enforcement that may be possible far beyond the bounds of progressives and conservatives in our prisons.
And do you believe, Howard, that if you commit a felony, you give up your right?
Well, you know, that's a really tough one. And I'm a Democrat, so I'm supposed to believe that you don't give up your right to vote. But I'm still undecided about that one.
That's a tough one indeed. Howard, thanks so much. Up next, have you noticed how the price of food has been skyrocketing? I'll be talking with a farmer about that. His book is called Everything I Wanted to Do is Illegal, War Stories from the Local Food Farm. Joel Sullivan joins us next on Coast to Coast AM. Imagine you're in a room with 4 other people. Statistically, one of you is a victim of identity theft. That's right, 1 in 5. And these aren't careless people either. They're probably a lot like you, watching their accounts and credit. But that isn't always enough, especially with your personal info in more places than ever. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock by North makes it easy to help protect yourself by monitoring your identity and alerting you to threats you couldn't miss on your own. If you become a victim of identity theft, a U.S.-based LifeLock restoration specialist will be dedicated to your case and work to fix it. Now, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock or go to likeforlike.com and use promo code George. That's promo code George to save up to 25% off your first year, or 1-800-LIFE.
Real people, real stories.
I have bruising that's all over my arm. 3 weeks after I was on the carnivore, I noticed, I'm looking at my arms and I said, gee, I don't have any bruises on my arms, and I'm always full of bruises. I can't put my finger on it, but I know something's happening. I have to tell you, that has to be a carnivore. I got a Labrador. She could hardly lift herself up off the floor. I won't tell you what's veterinarian said, but the treatment was chemotherapy. And I said, no way. That's when I said, you know what, this could be the ticket. So I started administering it, and she took to it right away. In 3 weeks, you could tell she's very alert. Into the protocol, she seemed like she was 100%. She was going on a 5-mile walk. Like, my goodness, she is just like priming.
Call 866-836-8735. That's 866-836-8735. Or visit carnivore.com. That's carnivora.com.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you. Joel Sullivan with us. His family owns Poly Farm Base in Virginia, Shenandoah Valley. It's a farm producing and directing marketing salad bar beef, figurator pork, pasteurized poultry, and pastured eggs. He's on 15 plus books. He speaks at food, farming, and health conferences all around the planet. Holly Case Farm is a good farm that featuring in the award-winning documentary Food Inc. and features prominently as the ecological alternative in the New York Times bestseller Omnivore's Dilemma. Welcome Joel Salatin to the program. First time for you, Joel. Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir, George. Thank you. It's a privilege and an honor to be with you.
And you are right. The prices are skyrocketing. What is going on?
Well, there's everything from the war in Ukraine, messing up with fertilizer prices. But I think that one of the biggest changes that's happened. Of course, you've got the regular inflation with crazy things going on with printing money out of thin air and things like that. But beyond that, what really facilitated this, I think, initially, was simply that the very, very large processors that are supposed to be so efficient actually came out being fragile, during COVID lockdowns and all that. Because these are aircraft carriers, these are mega 5,000, employee outfits, and when you've got that many people crammed in a dark, damp, cool place, it's not a very healthy work environment, and so the centralization of the food system actually exacerbated the problems of keeping people on work, quarantining, all those kinds of things. It drove human resources, it drove HR departments nuts, still is, and these big companies are having to vote an inordinate amount of time and energy to HR requirements and things like that. And so I think the long and short of it is that the question I ask people is, do you think we would have had as big a hiccup if instead of the nation being supplied by 300 centralized mega processing plants, if we'd have been supplied by 300,000, maybe 50-person community-based, processing and canneries and things like that plants, would we have had as big a hiccup? And of course, the answer is no.
How many acres do you farm in Virginia, Joe?
Well, we own 950, and then we rent another 1,500.
That's a lot.
A lot of it's woodland. Some of it is, but this is not the backyard operation. And the beautiful thing for us was, when fertilizer prices jumped 400%, when Russian fertilizer was cut off, it didn't affect us at all because we don't buy any chemical fertilizer. And so here we are as a smaller outfit. I call up a speedboat in an aircraft carrier food world, and when there are disturbances, and you're on the shoals and you're trying to navigate rocks, you don't want to be in an aircraft carrier. You want to be in a speedboat that can and turn and adapt and move around better.
Absolutely. How did you start farming?
Well, our family started here. I was just 4 when Mom and Dad bought this place, rundown, rock pile, gullied armpit of the community in 1961, and they never made a living from the farm. They always wanted to, but never did. But we went to experimenting. Dad was an accountant, Mom was a school teacher. That face of the land. And I got my first chickens when I was 10 years old, and started my love affair with farming. I never wanted to leave. And then the question was, well, how do I make a living here? Dad worked in town, Mom worked away, and I had this blank slate of land here. Can we make a living on it? And then that's what we did.
Good for you. And you wrote this book, Everything I Wanted to Do is Illegal. Tell me about the title.
Yeah, well, the first big wake up. So we're now going back to the early 70s. I was 10 in 1967, so I got these chickens, and it grows, and Dad, being an accountant, realized that as a small farm, we couldn't compete at the commodity level because the margins are so small. You have to be a really big operation if your margin is real tight, and you got to have a whole lot of widgets people. So we needed to wear all the middleman hats, the processor, the distributor, the marketer, and if we could wear those middleman hats and direct market, so we offer that scale that the low margin people are curb markets. This is before farmers markets. So the depression era curb markets that farmers could go to, and there was a memorandum of understanding with the food police, the inspection people, and the marketing people. But if you, like if you were involved in the extension service, so you were getting government bulletins and you were attending meetings of the 4-H or women homemakers club, things like that, that you could sell at that market without inspection. And so I grew up through my teen years, every Saturday morning of the year, the indoor market, getting up at 4 o'clock, going down there, market open at 6 o'clock, and selling eggs, and we milked a couple Guernsey cows. We sold buttermilk, cottage cheese, yogurt. We would butcher a beef in the meadow. We could cut it up. I could cook my chicken and sell them. And I grew up doing this without any inspection whatsoever, and it took off. People loved this, and we were goodness 15 years ahead of the organic food movement. And so I'm getting ready to come back to the farm. I'm in high school, I'm thinking, how can I get back to the farm full time? Well, I could just, milk a couple cows and sell the milk to neighbors at regular supermarket prices, not jacked up because it's organic or anything. And I'm in business, and I can do that. And so I get out of college, I come home, I'm going to start, and guess what? All that is illegal. And it's never gotten out of my system that what seems to be, what should be a simple thing, transacting food business among neighbors, has become a very marginalized thing. So then over the years, as we started processing chicken in the backyard, that the government came and told us, we were criminals, had to close it down. And so we've had all these fights over the years trying to maintain access, to the market without million dollar infrastructure requirements that these regulations require. People don't realize that the food regulations are scale prejudicial. If you're big, they're easy. If you're small, they're very difficult because they don't recognize scale. And that's the problem. So when we have supply chain issues, food issues, food quality issues, recalls, all those kinds of things, what that means is that the regulatory process is prohibiting the kind of innovative, creative competition that would be able to come to the marketplace from community-based entrepreneurs.
So we really never have had serious food shortages that I can recall in my lifetime, except when events occur like bad weather or COVID, and the shelves go crazy. What happens then?
Well, I think, you're exactly right. We haven't had these kinds of things. Bare shelves have been a fairly new thing. Of course, again, COVID was certainly a black swan, and again, that was a glitch in which there were, all the restaurants, all the institutional food chain was going that direction. The residential food chain was going this direction. Suddenly, when all the restaurants shut down, there was not enough capacity to make those kind of switches in order to deal with the with the increase in the residential food chain. So that was certainly an anomaly. But I think beyond that, now we're into this high pathogenic agent influenza situation, which hit us in 2015. Hit us earlier than that as well. It's a kind of cyclical, rolling thing, and that's creating havoc as well. It generally does not affect smaller flocks or even a faster flock like ours.
Hold on for a second, Joel. We're at a break. We'll come back and pick it up and talk more about the food sources here and why the prices keep going up, and when do they start coming back down?
Sign up now for Coast Zone, our free email newsletter. Get it today at coasttocoastam.com.
I'm Bree Tennis in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. Two people are in critical condition after crashing into a Metrolink train in San Bernardino. Police say the driver failed to stop for the guard crossing arm, drove across the tracks at a high rate of speed. About 30 passengers were aboard the train. One suffered minor injuries. Two people have died after a Corvette crashed into another car in Lake Balboa. Police say the Corvette driver was crossed at 90 to 100 miles per hour before the crash. Security video shows the second car, a Honda, was flipped to and flipped over. The driver of that car, a woman in her 40s, died at the scene. The driver of the Corvette died at an area hospital. And licensed cannabis caterers will be a real thing if Assembly Bill 471 passes. Southline weather from KFI. Mid to upper 70s. Right now it's 50 in Irvine, 51 for Huntington Beach, 48 in Redondo Beach, and 53 in Burbank. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Bree Tennis.
In this city, there is a full freeway closure. It's on the 10 westbound from National to Overland. All lanes are going to be shut down for road work until 4. Montebello, this is on the 60 eastbound right before Paramount Boulevard. Little fender there. That's out of lanes is on the right shoulder. Watch for looky little days as you'll this area. Mountain Valley, there's a full freeway closure. 405 northbound from Brookers to Warner Avenue. All lanes are going to be shut down for road work until 5. KFI and the Sky hopes to get you there faster on Brian, man.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, iHeartMedia can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more consumers in your target area than anyone else, and we can give you access to those potential customers more cost effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. Get started today at iHeartAdvertising.com. That's iHeartAdvertising.com.
This President's Day, don't miss Sensei's Hail to the Cheap sale. Don't you mean Hail to the Cheap, Larry? No, we're one Hail to the Cheap with over 50% off the best brands. Plus, with your good credit, buy today and play interest-free for 36 months. On purchases above $3,000 with your minimum monthly payment and 10% down. I'm going straight to Hail because you're killing me, Larry. Sensei will beat anyone's advertised price or your mattress is free.
With the awards, big game fun, and Valentine's deals, I think that makes Morongo the GOAT of good times. Now your top reason to visit Morongo.
Hit up your Sonic Space Cleaner when you earn 500 points on your report card, the 13th or 14th.
Number 2.
Big game blowout. You can even win a grand in cash playing with your report card during the game.
And the number 1 reason.
Big Game Blitz, the big game with amazing food and drink specials.
Morongo, good times.
Live from Radio Row, it's Super Bowl week, and there's no better way to stay up to speed than with the Around the NFL podcast. Join me, Dan Hansis, and my buds, Mark Sessler and Greg Rosenthal for the latest football news with just a touch of mirth.
We've got the number 1 football podcast in the world, and Rihanna is playing the Apple Music halftime show. It doesn't get much better than that, guys. Hang out with us live from Glendale, Arizona, all week long. Listen to Around the NFL on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast.
KFI, AM 640, more stimulating talk. You'll sleep like a baby, knowing you'll never miss your favorite guests or topics ever again. Remember, a 1-year subscription comes out to only 15 cents a day. Sign up today at coasttocoastam.com.
My wings are wet, 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 wings are wet, my wings are wet, my wings are wet. In the jungle, the quiet jungle, a lion sleeps tonight.
Premier Networks presents Coast to Coast AM with George Story.
Oh, you can kind of sign up someone.
As we talk about food prices and jump aboard and share some stories with us. March 18th, we're going to Sedona, Arizona for our live stage show.
We sure are, and boy, it's starting to fill up now. We're going to be part of the Sedona Ascension Retreats event at the Sedona Performing Arts Center, March 17th through the 19th. Our live show will be Saturday the 18th, but all 3 days they're going to have nonstop live music, food vendors, workshops, speakers. Billy Carson will be there, William Henry will be there, Suzanne Ross, Paul Selig, the list goes on. There's a UFO Skywatch. Tons of going on. So if you're interested, just head over to coasttocoastam.com and all that info is right there on the website.
Okay, and then in May, Tom, we're going to Oregon.
Yep, we're not going to stop. We're going to be at the amazing Granada Theater in the Dalles, Oregon. It's 84 miles east of Portland. We'll have 3 guests that night. Dr. Sky, Stephen Cates, UFO abductee Travis Walton, and from Animal Planet, Bigfoot hunter Matt Moneymaker. Tonight will include a Q&A, live band, a salute to our veterans, all the great stuff that we do. And these are a lot of fun, George. We put microphones up and can walk up and talk to anybody on stage, and it's just a lot of fun. So again, head over to coasttocoastam.com, and Lex has got all that info right under the here. So it's a very interactive program. Sure is.
All right, here's something to build up your immune system.
HealthyLooking.com and Dr. Alan Millay brings 4 decades of experience in natural products for the exclusive stem cell wellness kit that works with your body's stem cells to assist your immune system. Here's Dr. Millay with more.
Whether it's physical activity, obesity, diet, smoking, low on hormones, stress, sleep disorders, or your age, can be supported by reducing inflammation and aiding the body to heal itself appropriately. A stem cell is a cell that you need to be told what it needs to be. If there is inflammation, that inflammation needs to be stopped. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, kidney disease, various types of cancer, depression, Alzheimer's disease, autoimmune disorders, osteoporosis, even fatty liver are chronic signs of inflammation and can be aided by supporting the body's ability to protect those cells that it needs. And that is the purpose of ImmuStem and AdaptoStem together, supporting the body to be the best it can be.
Dr. Millay, how will I feel after taking AdaptoStem and ImmuStem?
The ImmuStem is going to have an immediate effect, but I tell you, your immune system is starting to function better after 24 hours. You put AdaptoStem along with it, and most will feel it within 30 minutes.
Order now at HealthyLooking.com. The Stem Cell Wellness Kit from Dr. Millay protects your body's stem cells and will make you feel better faster. The Stem Cell Wellness Kit with AdaptoStem and ImmuStem and your Relaxol is only available at HealthyLooking.com or toll free at 800-563-3980. That's 800-563-3980. Don't forget to enter promo code George for free shipping. George's Stem Cell Wellness at HealthyLooking.com. That's HealthyLooking.com.
Imagine you're in a room with 4 other people. Statistically, one of you is a victim of identity theft. That's right, 1 in 5. And these aren't careless people either. They're probably a lot like you, watching your accounts and credit. But that isn't always enough, especially with your personal info in more places than ever. It can be dangerously easy to steal your identity. LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself by monitoring your identity and alerting you to threats you could miss on your own.
Yo, dog, this thing's taking forever. Why the fuck does this take so long?
Will be dedicated to your case and work to fix it. Now, no one can prevent all identity theft, monitor all transactions at all businesses, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock or go to lifelock.com and use promo code George. That's promo code George to save up to 25% off your first year, or 1-800-LifeLock. 2023 is off to a turbulent start, and the U.S. broke through the $31.4 trillion debt ceiling in January.
No, you know, kind of unlocked.
Times like these that you want to have physical gold and silver on hand, and you can buy it at bullionmax.com/coast. Go to bullionmax.com/coast and purchase your silver starter kit. Get 6 ounces of solid silver, including a limited vintage Aztec calendar coin, something Bullion Max and I set up for Coast to Coast listeners.
Hashtag. What the fuck?
Poor Sam's was a mess. Always itching, licking. His paws were soaking wet. He had bald spots on his back. VINOVITE. 2 weeks after he started Dynamite,
We're happy I will be.
improvements, and today 99% of his issues are non-existent. Dynamite is nutrition. Dynamite is the best thing you can do for your dog. How happy your dog will be. I get my Dynamite from VINOVITE.com.
Yes.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you, with Joel Sullivan is with us. His website is polyfacefarms.com. Linked up at coasttocoastam.com. We'll take calls with Joel next hour. Joel, we're talking about the empty shelves and the price of food and all this. What about fertilizer? You talked about how fertilizer prices skyrocketed. What happened?
Yoshi.
Well, what happened was Russia supplied most of the raw ingredients for chemical fertilizer, potassium, nitrogen, phosphorus, and when we embargoed them because they invaded Ukraine, then that cut off all of that to farmers. And so, what we have here is a black swan event, COVID, invading Ukraine, those kinds of things.
Yoshi.
A farm that's dependent on, outside.
What the fuck is going on here?
On outside places, the more
Yoshi.
We've been working with just-in-time inventorying for a long time, and now we're working with just-in-case. And so efficiency is now giving way to resilience. Centralization is giving way to decentralization. And to combat these things, we need competition to take over cronyism within the food system. And so, all of those things are confluing to create a problem.
It could be a nightmare when it all adds up, can it?
Yes.
Well, yeah, it certainly can be a nightmare. And we never know where the tipping point is. People like me have argued against the concentrated animal feeding operation, monocrop, corn, soybean, not diversified ecological systems. Nature doesn't like single species. It likes diversity. Nature likes complexity, not simplicity. Nature likes a lot of relational stuff, not singular. And so when you stress the system like this, when you, I could just say, abuse it this directly, there are going to be consequences. I mean, if we set out again a diabolical committee, let's say, we're the bad guy in a 007 movie, right? And we have this idea. Let's create a pathogen toxin friendly food system. Well, we'd have a single species. We would cram them in real close. There wouldn't be any rest. There'd be no sunlight.
Yoshi.
The animals would be breathing fecal particulate all the time. There'd be no exercise. And because herd and flock and confinement is so huge. What I've just described is modern American agriculture, and so nature, that's last. And when you start to assault it as directly as we have as a culture, you have problems.
What about GMO foods?
Yeah, so GMOs, we don't use any GMOs here. But every day there's more and more information coming out on the deleterious effects of genetically modified organisms. You got to realize that there are reasons why nature has boundaries. And of course, I love innovation, but when you start overriding nature's boundaries, there are all sorts of things that preclude, a pig containing, wheat DNA or a salmon containing, pig DNA. Those are barriers that, whether you believe, in creation or whether you believe in evolution or whatever, those are barriers that the natural template has erected to maintain, genetic
Yo, dog.
Okay.
And I'm not talking
He'd
about,
be like, oh,
adaptation.
well,
like,
firstly,
Eskimos could take hold of the people in Brazil, okay? I'm talking about adaptation. I'm talking about adaptation to your environment. And so when we override those barriers, there are definitely consequences. And we're seeing those in all sorts of conditions. And GMOs are now indicated in all sorts of problems, including the fact that GMOs allowed an incredible increase in the use of glyphosate, which is, of course, Monsanto's Roundup, and the spin-off ramifications of GMO crops in what can be used on them inordinately that wouldn't normally be used. That's another element of the problem.
Did Bayer, when they bought Monsanto, make a bad purchase?
Oh my God. Put it up for everybody.
For a long time. I will
This is
tell you
taking
this,
forever.
that we've never seen a product that has a $7 billion payout for product lawsuits.
Yosh.
We've never seen a product with that big a payout war chest continue to sell the product on the market. You know, George, if you think back in our lifetime, we think of these, huge things like the Johnson & Johnson powder, things like that. Sure. When stuff gets pulled massively from or has this level of complaints on it, you pull the product. Yeah, they pull the product. This one is the first one that I remember in my lifetime that has a global, problems, and they just continue to manufacture it right along. It's okay. We've got $7 billion payout. We pay it out. We just keep going. I've never seen anything like it.
What happens to food production, Joel, if we just don't fertilize, we don't chemicalize, we just stop all that?
Well, of course, the naysayers will say, well, look at Sri Lanka. What happened there? Sri Lanka, they starved and all that. Well, it's because chemical fertilizer is a lot like a drug addiction, which is one of the reasons my dad didn't go for it. We do large-scale composting here. We have all sorts of on-site, basically a carbon economy. Nature runs on carbon; it doesn't run on chemicals, and so it's all about the decomposition. It's a lot like
Yo, dog.
Think of a compost pile as a.
I remember pressing a try, and it was like, oh, fuck you.
And so what happens is, if you artificially fertilize, then it's like a drug addiction, and you can't just go off immediately. You have to come off gently.
Nice grief, dog.
And so the bottom line is, can we produce all the food without these chemicals? Absolutely, we sure can. The fact is that we have created a mechanical, chemical approach to food when it's fundamentally biological. But the biological approach didn't get a shot in the arm from World War II or stockpiles of potassium, nitrogen, and all this that was left over after World War II. And it took a while for the front-end loaders, plastic pipe, chippers, chainsaws, things that made efficient carbon handling efficient on the farm. It took, the 50s and 60s to develop that. Meanwhile, the chemical approach was gaining a foothold, gaining the orthodoxy. And the truth is, if we had a Manhattan Project for compost, not only would we have fed the world, we would have done it without three-legged frogs, infertile salamanders, and a dead zone the size of Rhode Island in the Gulf of Mexico.
Joel, I hear that China owns a lot of our farmland. Is that true?
They do, but these things are sometimes, people don't realize how big things are. I mean, China owns, 400,000 acres or something like that. That is such a tiny amount of land. I think what's got people more concerned about China's ownership of the land is that they have strategically purchased it near U.S. military installations, ICBM missile silos and stuff. But 400,000 acres is not that. I mean, there are ranches that size, single, owned ranches that size. But it's the strategic Certainly is. Certainly is. You know, when Ted Turner was the largest owner back, 30 years ago, he was buying ranches. He was into bison. Bring back the American prairie and the bison. Bill Gates is not buying ranch land. He's buying farmland because he's all into crops. So what he envisions is a livestock-less future, a cow-less future, in which we're going to grow all the protein in laboratories. And it's going to be food stock. It's going to be soybeans and corn. And so Bill Gates wants to go to monocropping with chemical fertilization on everything and eliminate the animals, eliminate the cyclical manure animal blessing, the way nature has worked, and go to a strictly chemical monoculture, no pollinators, no birds. It's the Rachel Carson Silent Spring deal on steroids. And that's his plan.
So shitty?
So
much wasted space.
We move to a laboratory-based, techno-sophisticated food system, the less democratization we have in the food system. As long as the rain comes and the sun shines, a cow can eat grass and you can have nutrition. But if your nutrition has to come out of a $1 billion Bill Gates owned laboratory, you don't have food freedom. You are now completely dependent on something else.
Absolutely. Joel Salatin with us. We're going to take calls with Joel next hour here on Coast to Coast. Share some of your food stories with us. The price of eggs goes up, goes down, back up. Where is it right now?
Right now, it's pretty high. I think it's going to take a while for all of this avian influenza material, and grain prices are very high. Grain prices are extremely high. They're 3 times higher than they were just 3 years ago. So of course, chickens are omnivores and they eat grain. They can't just eat grass. And so when grain prices go up, then egg prices go up. But I think what's really pushing egg prices is this high-path avian influenza that's running through these CAFOs, concentrated animal feeding operations, that are inherently very unsanitary and unclean.
Amazing times, Joel, is that?
Yes, it is. When Joel Arthur Barker wrote the book Paradigms back in the 70s, brought that word to the world, one of his axioms was that all paradigms eventually exceed their point of efficiency. And those of us who've been in the more biological part, the ecological part of the food movement, have been, saying all along, what's the tipping point? So we put 10,000 birds in a house, and then we put 20,000, then 50,000, then 100,000.
Yosh.
So where's the tipping point where that paradigm finally
Yoshi.
fits? And it appears to me that as rapid as these cycles are, and as ubiquitous now within the industry, that maybe we're starting to approach that tipping point.
If you could solve one dilemma as it has to do with farming, what would that be?
If I could do one thing for farming, it would be to create a food emancipation proclamation to allow every citizen the right to the food of their choice from the source of their choice. Right now, we have numerous judges ruling that Americans don't have freedom of food choice. You say you go into Walmart, Costco, and Kroger's, and you say, what do you mean we don't have? We got all the choice. But that choice is a very, very narrowly defined choice through a government licensing permitting system that precludes a lot of things that you would be able to have otherwise. If you want Aunt Matilda's quiche instead of name branded Kroger's, you can't buy Aunt Matilda's quiche unless you get a bunch of government permits and that sort of thing. We talk about food deserts in the urban areas. There are all sorts of holes in the food system, from choice supply and a food emancipation proclamation, so that if you wanted to come to my farm, look around, smell around, ask around, and as two consenting adults engaged in voluntary transactions, we can engage in a food trade. That would be great. Right? This is not about food safety. I can butcher a chicken in the backyard. I can milk a cow. I can give it away. But as soon as money changes hands, now I'm a criminal. And so if we would allow direct producer-consumer interaction in the food system, we would have thousands and thousands of small-scale entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs coming to the system to democratize the system and create competition with innovation and creativity in the marketplace.
What's going on with food companies like Tyson?
Food companies like Tyson, well, they're
still rolling along here.
Well, Wall Street Journal had a big article. I haven't read it yet. I think it came in yesterday. Wall Street Journal with their profit is down 78%. Of course, again, they're citing supply chain issues, increased grain price, all these input costs. And so, what you want is a food system that is as weaned as possible from dependency on off-farm input. And so our farm runs on carbon. We don't buy fertilizer. We have a great big chipper, and so we jump trees. If all the biomass that we spend $5 billion a year fighting fires, if that biomass were simply converted to compost for farms, so that we took all the money we currently spend on chemical fertilizers and put it into biomass carbon production, we could grow all the food we want. We could eliminate the fires. We could employ thousands of people in direct ecological massage and caress and honor the thousands of people who actually want to work outside and get spreaders and calluses on their hands, interacting with our ecological room, and we would grow earthworms. We would have more nutrient-dense food, and the whole thing would change. So there are absolute opportunities out here, and we just need to look to nature for the template.
Joel, we're going to come right back and spend an hour taking phone calls with you next on Coast to Coast AM.
Coast Insiders, the new version of the Coast to Coast AM app, is now available for iPhone and now Android 4.0 and above. Listen live or on demand, anywhere, anytime. Go to coasttocoastam.com and download it today.
Hey, it's Neil Saavedra. With energy costs on the rise, old aluminum, wood, even vinyl windows can add to your electric and gas bills. So replace your inefficient windows with new, affordable, custom-made windows. Do it once, do it right with American Vision Windows. The windows they installed at my home are gorgeous, and their team takes great pride in their work, and they gave great energy-saving advice. The owners, Bill and Kathleen, they started American Vision Windows because they had a horrible experience replacing their own windows decades ago. Get the quality and value you deserve. And until 2024, 0% interest and zero payments for 12 months plus free installation. CSLB number 778326. Trust the window company that I trust, my family, my friends trust, American Vision Windows. Call today, get that free estimate, 888-226-9908. That's 888-226-9908. Or visit AmericanVisionWindows.com. Have you been injured in an accident?
Look at this Yoshi. Oh my God, your board.
We are America's largest injury law firm, and that means more than 800 lawyers, more often, and more than $15 billion recovered for our clients. Get experienced representation, support staff 24/7, and much more. See what people are saying about us. Check out any of our more than 28,000 five-star Google reviews of satisfied clients. You deserve more, and we at Morgan & Morgan are ready to fight for more. Don't wait. Dial Town Hall or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
I'm just Morgan & Morgan. When you call America's largest injury firm, you get the backing of a national firm, along with a dedicated team from your community and by us. When you need a fighter, you need us. Call America's largest injury law firm. Call Morgan & Morgan. For the people.com.
Not just stimulating talk, it's more.
KSI.
KOSTHD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
The flyover will be done by women. I'm Bree Tennis in the KFI 24 hours This Sunday's Super Bowl military flyover during the national anthem will have all female pilots. It's 50 years in the making as the first female aviators were accepted into the Navy program back in 1973. Smash and haul is what the police are calling it. It happened at a convenience store at a gas station in Orange. Surveillance video shows two men breaking a window and tying one end of a strap to a white pickup truck, the other end to the ATM inside. The store is reporting about $15,000 in damages, about $6,000 in the ATM. Police say this theft took just a few minutes. The death toll from the earthquake in Turkey and Syria has now surpassed 16,000. The World Health Organization is now sending in healthcare resources to prevent people from dying in the aftermath of the quake. SoCal Edison says they're raising their rates by 4.4%. The company says higher natural gas prices are impacting the ability to deliver power. Twitter's reporting outages and error messages. This for Twitter Blue subscribers only. They say it's due to upping the character count from 280 to 4,000. They hope to have things worked out today. Kamala Harris says she's in. Mark Mayfield has the story.
She told CBS Mornings President Biden intends to run for another term, and she'll be right alongside it if he does. She also said the work they're doing is historic. The administration and Democrats were able to get many bills passed during the last 2 years when they had total control of government. However, they're now forced to work with a Republican-led House.
Today is National Pizza Day, and the New York Post says women want a romantic dinner out for Valentine's Day, and men just want to get busy. Southline weather from KFI. We can expect mostly 47 degrees in Fountain Valley. Orange checks in with 50. It's 55 in Santa Monica and 47 in Ontario. We lead local from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Bree Tennis.
In Mid-City, there is a full freeway closure. This is on the east end westbound from National to Overland. All lanes are going to be shut down for road work until 4. In Van Nuys, this is on the 405 northbound at Victory. Clear crews from an earlier car fire out of lanes and on the right shoulder. Watch for looking delays as you approach. Mountain Valley, there is a full freeway closure. This is on the 405 northbound from Brookers to Warner Avenue. All lanes are going to be shut down for road work until 5. KFI in the sky. Let's get you there faster. I'm Brian Vance.
Are you a business owner, CEO, or responsible for marketing? If you are, I heard media can help you reach your goals and find new customers. We reach more customers in your target area than anyone else. And we can give you access to those potential customers more cost effectively across radio, digital, podcasting, and social. We'd love to show you how iHeartMedia can work for you. From your cell, dial #250 and say keyword great results. That's #250 and say great results.
The hit true crime podcast, Paper Ghosts, is back with a brand new case. Season 3 digs deep into the 1992 cold case murder of Tammy Jo Zawicki, a New Jersey college student, and uncovers a murky police investigation, a pool of new suspects, and a community still desperate for answers 30 years later.
Tammy's supposed to be on campus, and she's not here, and people are starting to get worried.
Listen to Paper Ghosts on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Before I started Rooter Hero Plumbing, I was an angry young man. Hello, I'm John Apoyan, founder of Rooter Hero Plumbing. I was angry because my dad died when I was 17 and he left me alone. I was angry because I couldn't go to college with my friends and because I had to drop out of high school. It's not a pleasant story. But as I grew older, I also grew up. I realized that my dad didn't leave me alone. He left me with values and principles that continue to shape my life. Dad said, be on time. He didn't like it when people were late. He taught me to be polite. It was something I lost, but we captured along the way. And he taught me to keep my promises, because broken promises lead to broken relationships. We teach and keep these values at Rooter Hero Plumbing. I think we have a pretty good company. I know we have great people. And if one of our heroes fails to live up to these values, please call me. My private number is on the back of every Rooter Hero business card. You can also reach us at rooterhero.com. Thank you. Everybody needs a hero.
If you're looking to get out of your house, doesn't matter why you're moving, or maybe you've inherited a home, and now what do you do with it? Usually you go to a real estate agent, 6%, and you're told to clean and paint and repair, and buyers are going to walk through. The house has to be pristine, as if you don't live there. You don't need any of that. How about getting a fair price for your home without any of that hassle? DirectBuyers.com will do exactly that. DirectBuyers.com, a local family-owned business. Janet and Matt, brother and sister, I love the way they do business. Now, there are a lot of schmucks
George.
No obligation offer,
What
even
is
a
that one phone going
$15,000
on?
cash advance.
Oh, it's over there?
Go to
Okay.
directbuyers.com.
I'll be right on this spot.
844-242-SELL,
This is a good spot.
844-242-SELL, directbuyers.com. This is Jacob and Ron. If you've been
Yeah,
involved
that
in a
thing
motorcycle
sucks.
accident, call 844-24-JACOB.
KMON, AM 640. KMON, AM 640.
This is Jacob and Ronnie. If you've been in an accident, call 844-24-JACOB.
KFI, AM 640.
What?
To talk to George Norrie, call the wildcard line at 818-501-4109. The first-time caller line is 818-501-4721. To talk toll-free from east of the Rockies, call 800-825-5033. From west of the Rockies toll-free, call 800-618-8255. To reach George via Skype, use Skype name George 97313. Send George a text message anytime at 818-398-6521. This is Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
Would you like to react to what you've been hearing? Jump aboard and make a call, and we'll be back with your calls in a moment. Coast to Coast AM. Polls keep showing a very tight race between former President Donald Trump and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for the nomination for 2024 for the Republican president nomination, even though DeSantis has not announced it. This could be the biggest political battle yet, and Newsmax wants to know what you think. They're conducting a poll asking if President Trump should continue to run for the president again, or if DeSantis is a better move. Vote in the Newsmax poll as soon as you can. Just text the word river to 39747 and they'll send you the information. That's river to 39747 and let your voice be heard. Tune in to Newsmax. It's news you can trust. Newsmax is carried on most major cable systems, and if your cable system doesn't carry them, call them and demand it. Be sure to vote in Newsmax poll on whether Mr. Trump should run again. Simply text the word river to 39747. That's river 39747 and make the switch to Newsmax. And don't forget their website, newsmax.com.
Tired of overpaying for your cell phone bill? Switch to Consumer Cellular and save up to half on your wireless plan. Their award-winning 100% U.S.-based customer support team makes switching easy. Plus, you can keep your phone in number with no contract or activation fees. They offer unlimited talk and text with a flexible data plan starting at just $20 a month. You can easily add your family and friends to your plan for just $15 a month per line. Never worry about dropped calls. Consumer Cellular has the exact same coverage as the major carriers, over 99% of the nation. This is all backed by their 100% risk-free guarantee, doing the millions of others who have switched. Go to consumercellular.com/radio25 and for a limited time, get $25 off when you use promo code radio25. consumercellular.com/radio25. Promo code radio25.
Fucking.
back to Coast, George. Norton with you, Joel. Southern with us, too. How long does this
question? You know, like me, thought it would start to collapse sooner than it has. It may be a long time. Who knows? But for sure, to whatever, make your food source more secure. For sure, you know, you need to start patronizing sources that don't depend on Ukrainian wheat, that don't depend on Russian fertilizer, that, you know, that actually honor the thickness of the pig, the chickenness of the chicken, the tomato-ness of the tomato, and have a shorter chain of custody, you know, to your table, you know, as local as possible, and farmers who aren't as dependent on these other, you know, on these other things. I mean, no man is an island. Nobody's completely on their own. But what you can do is you can certainly minimize those dependencies.
I didn't realize how dependent we were on Russia's fertilizer.
Yeah, I don't think most people did. In fact, you know, I'm in the business, and I was a little bit surprised, but you know, I don't buy it, so you know, it wasn't a big deal to me. But yes, I think all of us were a little bit taken aback, and I think if you knew the kind of fragility that is within the system, it would actually take you aback. I mean, it presents, you know, big buildings and big machines and big numbers and all that, but in the end, it all skipped along pretty closely on pathogenicity,
Jesus
toxicity,
Christ,
immune function, because life is not just mechanics.
yeah.
And food is
Are you
life.
done?
Biology is life, and our country views life as fundamentally mechanical rather than biological. And I mean, just take the soil, for example. There are 7 billion beings in a handful of healthy soil, and we only have names for 10% of them. 90% of them, we don't have names for them. We don't even know what they do, and yet we run into that with a bunch of chemical fertilizer. Stick a chemical, you know, IV into the soil and say, we don't need soil. All we need is just a chemical IV, and voila, you know, we grow corn. And you know, what was the old margarine? It's not nice to fool Mother Nature.
Not nice to fool Mother Nature.
Well,
It's chiffon.
We've been fooling nature for a long time.
Just like
with
my
our,
sweet cream butter.
You know, mechanical, chemical,
It's
industrial
chiffon.
food system complex, and who knows how long we can keep on. I mean, the people who oppose me say, "Oh, we're clever. Humans are clever.
It's not
We'll
nice to fool Mother Nature.
stay a step ahead of,
It's
you know, of whatever."
chiffon.
I was in Australia
Really?
a couple of years ago, getting my luggage out of the rack, and I have a cow ear tag on my luggage,
It
so
can
I
still
can
be
identify it.
purchased in the
Two
Caribbean
ladies were
region.
standing there, they saw the ear tag and said, "Oh, you a farmer?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "What are you here for?" They said they're on their way to Perth with
It's
with
not
an
nice to fool
international
Mother
consortium
Nature.
to deal with superweeds
It's
that have been
chiffon.
created by herbicides like glyphosate.
Gina did
So
trick.
that's creating superweeds.
She's 91.
And these are weeds that are, you know, way bigger
It's
and
chiffon.
worse than anything that we've ever seen. And so I'm thinking, you know, how long do superbugs, MRSA, C. diff in the hospital from subtherapeutic antibiotic use? How long does the superweed, you know, how long do we go this path and assume that our human cleverness is always going to come up with a better concoction and a better way to handle nature's pushback and adaptation to our disrespect?
Let's go to the phones for you. They are lining up. We'll start with east of the Rockies. Robert's with us, truck driving in West Virginia. Hayward, you're on with Joel. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I have seen some things on the internet about undertakers having problems.
Leaders got Russell.
And
What?
today I was voting up in New
D'Angelo
York,
Russell.
local Apple,
That's
and got to talking with the gentleman, and
hey.
I asked him what do you
Sure.
think about it, and he said he knows
It's
two
chiffon.
undertakers that are brothers. He getting told, well, both of them at home
I'm the
they
real
are
MVP.
having problems with that. And those like worm-like things are coming out and getting stopped up into the
Once
into the
undisputed
embalming
greatest.
fluid. And just wondered if you knew anything about that.
Who's this saying that?
That's a
It's
new one on me.
chiffon.
But I'll tell you, there's more mystery. There's more mystery in biology, more mystery in life than there is in empirical information right now. So it doesn't surprise me. It was an amazing story, and I you know, it's new to me. I don't know about it.
I haven't heard about that one either. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate your call. Brendan's with us. Austin,
It's
Texas.
not nice
Take it
to
away.
bring
Hi,
out the
Brendan.
nature.
Go ahead.
Thanks, George and Joel.
It's not
Great
my
show
sweet
tonight,
butter.
and I know I've talked about this before, but it has
Sweet
to,
butter,
another
that's all.
topic, almost everything we talk about comes
Marketing.
down to it here, but we got to
It's not nice to film
united
Mother
and get
Nature.
money out. We got
If you think
farmers
it's
like
butter,
this who are up against
but
an
it's
army
not.
of corporations
It's
who will
chiffon.
lobby to
If you think it's
subsidize
butter, but
to
it's
keep
not.
the top
It's
food
chiffon.
cheap and the healthy food expensive. So there was a documentary in 2008 called Food Inc. that really did a great job of showing that. So Joel, tonight, my
It's
question
not nice
is
to.
seems like something that would be obvious
It's not
to
nice to.
move forward is that
Mother Nature.
we
The
should
Nabisco's
be
big with that thing on
selectively
the
breeding
corner.
foods that require less and less water.
Why?
For
Or
the
the
past
National
100 years,
Biscuit
we've
Company
been focusing
kids.
on selectively breeding
National
foods that have more
Biscuit
sugar and less
Company. You
nutrition.
know how big
So
National
in like
Biscuit Company is?
1950s, we've lost 80%
Please
of the
hand over.
nutrition of the
Rhonda,
food
this
that
would
we
be
eat.
big.
For example,
Like,
an
yeah.
orange had 21 times more vitamin A in 1950s. Onions and potatoes no longer contain any vitamin A. Broccoli had
Home
4
insurance for
times
the first
as much
skyscraper.
calcium. And for an apple, it would take 100 apples to get 1 apple of vitamin C in 1950s,
Yeah,
which is insane. So I think that we should be
10
selectively
floors
breeding
later,
for
12.
more nutrition and less water. Seems so obvious.
Couldn't agree more. Absolutely. The same thing is happening with livestock, with eggs. The same thing is happening. And there's an outfit called the Bionutrient Food Association, and they're trying to measure the mineral vitamin content through a spectrophotometer. That's the thing that Abby on NCIS has, where you put a piece of paint in it that gives you all the inputs of the paint, and they're trying to make a handheld model where you could actually go and walk through the supermarket, walk through the farmer's market, whatever, and you actually get a measure, and they are finding the same thing. Like they've already wanted things like carrots, and found that you would have to eat like 100 carrots of the worst quality carrot to get the same nutrition as 1 carrot of the best quality. There is
Late
a huge variety based on overall soil fertility. The entire industrial food system
thrives
be big. on non-differential, homogeneity of food systems, and of course, in nature, it thrives on variance. And